Hello, my darlings. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? How is everyone? Are you all well? Are you all keeping healthy? Well, welcome to another Banksy style show. Haven't done one in a few days, although I uploaded I think I uploaded a video. Didn't I upload a video? Well, yeah, I did a stream on Saturday. But my God, it's Wednesday. The last time I did anything was a Saturday. So it was a while. So hello to one and all. I hope all you darlings are doing well out there. Let's begin. Let's begin with a little bit of introduction or a little bit of update on the coronavirus. I apparently received this exclusive update on the coronavirus, but it was so secret that it was in audio form only. So I will play it for you now and we can listen to this. It is straight from the Ministry of Health by, direct. I was apparently nominated as one of the key workers or key people to distribute this piece of information. So it is exclusive. Here we go.
This is a message from the National Health Service. We have been advised on our track and trace system that you have been in contact with someone with the COVID-19 virus. It is essential that you now self-isolate for 14 days. Perhaps even longer due to your tiny penis. Data from the Office for National Statistics shows that people with tiny penises like yours are 10 times more likely to die from COVID-19. So, stay indoors, needle dick.
All right. Okay. So we have that. Clearly, I'm highly susceptible to dying from this, so I should be isolating even further. Now our next update from the Ministry of Health is this one. I believe this is not an absolute exclusive, so you may have seen it elsewhere.
Emotionless greeting, noting general disappointment that I'm not the Prime Minister, saying how difficult this is for everyone, although not me. 3-part slogan with strong but awkwardly timed hand gestures, thinking I look like Churchill, trying to sound as clever as this scientist.
Slight nod of the head, pretending I don't think you're incompetent, understanding you're going to place all the blame at my door in the not too distant future.
Looking back to camera and claiming our message has been very clear, and where it hasn't been clear, we've been clear about that. Barely disguising that unclear message now allows us to blame the public later. Reluctantly taking inane question from member of the great British people.
Badly framed recording of pre-agreed question but with a common accent. Realising I'm on TV. Momentarily losing my train of... Somehow managing to mention Brexit before repeating my pre-agreed question.
Pretending I didn't choose that question myself hours ago, getting your name wrong, then just moving on, stealing myself for harder questions. Thanking God for technical difficulties, and with confusion crossing to a tabloid showbiz reporter.
Stupid question, even by my standards. Crowbarring in that I once met a big celebrity.
Thanking you for your contribution, barely hiding my utter disdain for you and your kind, with relief crossing to a broadsheet journalist.
Incredibly tough question about statistical analysis, which is impossible to understand, let alone answer.
Unadvisedly dipping my toe into the science and saying something I don't understand about R.
Perhaps
immediately regretting it.
Explaining what the R value is, wishing they taught statistics properly at school, trying to explain it again, realising futility and just giving up.
Pretending that's what I just said. Seeing who's got the next question, suddenly a bit nervous.
Introducing myself as host of a network politics show. Shameless advert for it behind me. Super long question that goes on for ages, so everybody loses the will to live. A second question, even though I'm only allowed one. And sneaking in a third question, giving you the opportunity to get out of answering the first.
Gratefully ignoring the first question, because I don't like it, making a joke so I seem human, and immediately realising now's not the time. Slight panic, 3-part slogan, and handing to the scientist to bail me out.
Surprised this question came to me, showing a complicated slide for 4 seconds. Trying my best not to merely say what the politician wants me to say, but hoping I keep my job after this.
Introducing myself as journalist from hugely popular Facebook page you've never heard of. Feel like I've been invited to ask a question, so the government seems in touch with millennials.
Terrified of that question and of young people in general. Deadeye's looking forward, repeating the words success, heroes, key workers, frontline and thanks. No new information given, but distracting everyone with overcomplicated World War II analogy. British people. Alerting broadcast media to imminent end of briefing by slowing down dramatically. 3-part slogan. In sincere nod. Relieved, thank you.
Embarrassed, thank you.
All right, so now we have our COVID updates. Just remember, if you are a man of small stature when it comes to your PP, do quarantine yourself for 14 days minimum, or possibly for life. Most of us have done that, especially from the female of our species. And if you know, if that message wasn't clear enough from the government of what to do, then go fuck yourself. But now we are here to what's it called? I just wanna get back to some of the things that might be happening over the weekend. Now, over the weekend, let me just flip over. We are going to be expecting some more protests, apparently, that the protesters of Black Lives Matter will be on the streets of London yet again, because last week there wasn't enough bloodshed or vandalism available. Lots of statues of vandal sort of, from that were sort of coveted by the vandals, were covered up, unfortunately, and kind of hoping that they could possibly vandalize them from the scaffolding that has been put around them. I don't know how that's going to work out. Clearly not enough people were being beaten up, and so now we're going to do it all again this weekend. Not enough bloodshed has been spilled. I think it appears that not enough people had been admitted to the hospital, so we should do another Black Lives Matter protest this weekend. Now, personally, I think the government should get involved at this point and actually ban these gatherings, and be very, very heavy-handed with the people who wish to continue having these protests. This is clearly a danger, especially in this COVID scenario. But then, you know, they say that the people of ethnic minority, black and ethnic minority, the BAME, I believe is acronym, are the most likely to die from COVID. So I don't know at this point. Is it a blessing to have Black Lives Matter protests or a curse? You decide. As far as the situation is concerned, there have been several things that have happened that I want to discuss. Number one, when it comes to the Black Lives Matter thing, I've kind of come to realize, I don't know if you guys know a comedian called Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is, for me, an amazing comedian, stand-up comic, absolute genius. But I didn't realize he was also a prophet. He appears to have also been a prophet because he has predicted things that have now come to pass. And I would like to play this little video clip for you of Louis C.K. and his, prophetic, if you like, commentary.
Sorry I'm being so negative. I'm a bummer. I don't know. I shouldn't be. I'm a very, lucky guy. I got a lot going for me. I'm healthy. I'm relatively young. I'm white, which thank God for that shit, boy. That is a huge leg up. Are you kidding me? Oh, God, I love being white. I really do. Seriously, if you're not white, you're missing out because this shit is thoroughly good. But let me be clear, by the way. I'm not saying that white people are better. I'm saying that being white is clearly better. Who could even argue? If it was an option, I would re-up every year. Oh, yeah, I'll take white again. Absolutely. I've been enjoying that. I'm going to stick with white. Thank you. Here's how great it is to be white. I could get in a time machine and go to any time, and it would be fucking awesome when I get there. That is exclusively a white privilege. Black people can't fuck with time machines. A black guy in a time machine is like, hey, anything before 1980? No, thank you. I don't want to go. But I can go to any time. The year 2? I don't even know what's happening then. But I know when I get there, welcome, we have a table right here for you, sir. Thank you. Oh, it's lovely here in the year 2. I can go to any time. In the past, I don't want to go to the future and find out what happens to white people because we're going to pay hard for this shit. You got to know that. We're not going to just fall from number 1 to 2. They're going to hold us down and fuck us in the ass forever. And we totally deserve it. But for now,
So and I think the future that Louis C.K. is discussing is slowly coming to pass, as we've seen with the variety of.
But first, shops.
Oh, hold on, is this going to show me any pictures? Oh God, this guy's just going to ramble away. I wanted the image. You baited me with that. Oh yes, this is some of the future of Louis C.K. who's... oh, by the way, this is all Black Lives Matter. Just remember, Black Lives Matter when you watch this. It appears that man is a black man, as he's been stamped upon. Black Lives Matter. By the way, Black Lives Matter. He doesn't appear Caucasian. I don't know. Maybe he has a very deep tan. Maybe during the COVID riot, period, he's been sunbathing way too much. But that gentleman does not look Caucasian. But we will continue. With a bottle. And now a hockey stick. Several Black Lives Matter, people. Black Lives Matter. Even if you're hitting them with a hockey stick, his life still matters. Of course, not to the guy who's hitting him with the hockey stick, but generally. But Black Lives Matter. Remember, Black lives do matter. Regardless of what is going on there, Black Lives Matter. Now, I wanted to actually show you the general things that went down on Saturday. This was one of them, one of the footage of things that happened on Saturday. Now this at least, this is a white boy who's clearly being jumped on by about 5 men. Of course, going to the ground isn't enough. You will still get battered. They have there are no honourable people in those things. And there it is. White lives don't matter. As Louis C.K. said, in the future they're gonna hold you down and fuck you in the ass. So welcome to the future. Ow, somebody set off a firework, I think, that one. These are fireworks. They're not gunshots. There are no guns in Britain. Well, there are barely any guns in Britain. Trafalgar Square. You guys remember having a nice sunny afternoon in Trafalgar Square? There used to be a time. More fireworks. Okay, that guy just... Oh, this is Wimbledon Station. Now, I did actually make this prediction. I said that the police are idiots. They're gonna funnel all these people away from the protest areas, and then these people are all gonna meet up at the stations and kill each other. Maybe some people should call me Prophet Banksy. I don't know, but yep, Waterloo. Sorry, Waterloo Station. Yep, most of them are killing each other at Waterloo Station because this is where they all came and fucking met up. Crazy, man. And yep, that was that one. Now, in amongst all of these, we had an interesting individual that most of us from the Speaker's Corner scene may or may not know. This individual is known as Braden Anderson. Braden is a in not so many words. Let's not mince our words, shall we? He's a straight up fucking racist. He has said it over and over again. He absolutely doesn't want any black people or brown people or Muslim people in the country. Even though, strangely enough, whilst he was making those comments, he actually went off and had coitus, if you will, carnal knowledge with a young mixed race girl known as Isabella. But nevertheless, our friend Braden is not a fan of other coloured individuals or people of colour or BAME or whatever the hell the new name is. Anyone who's foreign and has a slightly too much melanin. And this was Braden at the protests on Saturday. Now, whatever you make of this, I will still stress that this is stupid and you should avoid these things at all costs. I think this could be a learning lesson for all of us. Don't be a fucking idiot and pick a fight with Godzilla's second cousin, because this will happen to you. Okay, I just want to point out Braden is calling over. Now, this is Braden, our intrepid protagonist of our little story, if you will. This is Braden. He's shirtless, walking around, clearly at this point inebriated beyond measure, and he is calling over the large gentleman, which is this gentleman here. I don't know if you guys, you can see the arrow. So this large individual who looks like he ate a fucking mammoth before he came down here. He is now walking over and Braden is calling him out, effectively. And there he is, he's calling him out. Yep, that's all she wrote. That's all she fucking wrote. In fact, they do a little rewind and then bang. Look at that man's arm. The individual, the person of color, if you will, the black gentleman, he has an arm that's as thick as Braden's leg. Effectively, he didn't get punched in the head, Braden. Braden got kicked in the head with the size of that fucking arm. And look at Braden's hand. Like, is there even a remote... Were you even thinking defensively? Slipping a punch? What was going through your mind, Braden? For you have no defense, and here's a man who has arms the size of a fucking elephant's feet about to smack you in the face. What are you thinking, you idiot? Oh, and the results are somewhat predictable. Now, to be honest with you, though, as hard as that punch may have been, hitting that floor is probably worse, and I hope Braden is okay. I've been trying to inquire about Braden's health and nobody knows. But Braden, I hope if you're well, I hope you learn from this, you stupid idiot. There's a little zoom in. Oh, there's a little zoom in. There's a little zoom in. Look at this man's bicep. His t-shirt cannot contain his bicep. In fact, the t-shirt sleeve has rolled up because the bicep cannot be contained by the fucking... What are you doing, Braden? What are you doing? You fucking moron. Oh yeah. Yeah, gee, that is, look at the size of this individual. Cow. Look at the size of this man. Look at this elbow. Look at this fucking... Oh, Braden, look at this. Look at this monster that you decided to fucking pick on. Were there not skinnier individuals? A little Somali boy, perhaps? Someone pick on one of those white Antifa guys. What are you thinking, you fucking idiot? Like, there is so many levels of wrong here that I don't even know where to begin, how to break this shit down. Braden, I hope you're okay, but you're a fucking idiot. Okay, we're now done with the Braden segment of our speech, of our initial monologue here. There is one more segment that I would like to that I would like to share with you all. Oh, Braden, you're such an idiot. No, this is afterwards. Actually, no, we could do this now. Because this is comedy section, because the next bit's going to get a little bit serious. It says, hashtag fuck Antifa. From an Antifa page, Trump supporters tackled an Antifa thug, unmasked him, duct taped him to an electric box, placed a dildo on his head, and wrote, "I'm a unicorn" on him. I'm absolutely deceased. I'm absolutely deceased. Yeah. How can we let Nazis do this to our comrades? This shit, I've seen this a dozen times, and it doesn't stop getting funnier. There he is. This is him. That's the dildo. They duct taped him and wrote, "I'm a unicorn." The first time I saw this, I laughed for about 2 hours. I'm not joking. I laughed for at least 2 hours. I was... Oh, fuck me. This was one of the greatest things I'd seen in years. Absolute fucking years. Okay, now, boys and girls, to my final video. Now, this is a shortened version of the clip, but this lady, Kimberly Jones, goes on a rant about how life is unfair, basically. I'll play the clip, the shorter clip, because it's the end bit that I'm interested in, not so much the whole thing. If you want to see the whole thing, go type in Kimberly Jones speech, rant, whatever. It'll come up on YouTube, because YouTube can't get enough of playing this clip. But yes, Welshman, based Welshman sent me that, by the way, guys. So I'm gonna play this clip, and then we'll discuss, and then afterwards I'll open up the panel. Now, to be honest with you, since Raj is going to start his show at 7, I would like to end this show by then. That way there won't be a conflict between the shows, and actually we'll both get a good decent chance of having the bulk of the viewership, if you will. So I'm more than happy to end it at 7 when Raj decides to start his. But at the moment, I just want us to play this because I want to discuss this before we get into it. Actually, what I will do is I will post the link for the StreamYard is available. You can sit in the back chat whilst we watch this, though, and then we can join the discussion. I do have a little bit of a rant myself. Having fun again. Yes. It's. I mean, I don't know, Aaron, though, if you've seen that, if you saw that that Antifa guy getting duct taped, but come on, you can't tell me that's not funny. Anyway, I will give my little 2 cents, and then we'll get on to the panelists if anyone wants to jump on the panel and discuss. So here's the video. Let's go here.
How can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give a fuck. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Okay. So that was that little thing. Lucky that black people are looking for what's it called? Looking for equality and not revenge. Interesting. Now, I have actually the War Kettle on the panel. I do have a little rant about this, but let's talk to War Kettle, and then maybe I'll give my rant. Hello, Mr. War Kettle. How are you, my good sir? Are you with me? War Kettle? Jay. Oh, shit. Hold on. I gotta unmute myself. Hello, Mr. War Kettle. How are you, sir?
Hello, Mr. Banksy.
How are you, my good friend? I've seen you enjoying the sun.
Amazing. It's been too long. Where have you been hiding from me?
It has. The last thing I did was Saturday's show. I didn't do. I did like a live stream from London. What's it called? Churchill's statue, and then that's it. I haven't actually done much. I have to get off my ass and do a bit better, bit more streams, bit more videos.
Yeah, but you don't write me anymore. You don't send me love letters. You don't send carrier pigeon. Nothing.
You don't call. You don't write. You don't visit.
Exactly. You don't do nothing, Banksy. You don't love me anymore.
You're like a Jewish mom. So how is things, dude?
It's amazing. We've been out of lockdown for a very, very long time. So I've been down the pub many times, been out to the restaurant, been to the beach, been out on 2 dates,
Bloody hell. So you guys are actually are you completely out of lockdown now? Is it like totally clear?
Completely. We've been out of lockdown for, I want to say, nearly a month.
Really? Since May or June?
Since towards the end of May.
Wow, that's amazing.
Maybe even a bit before, because they stopped. They basically turned around and went, okay, you can go out 3 times a day now. You still have to text the government, and then a week later they dropped all of that anyway. Then they opened the pubs and everything. Actually, I think I know which night it was, because I put a little video on my YouTube channel. It's unlisted of some bird shaking her booty up on the stage.
Nice.
But yeah, we've been like on complete over since May 21st, mate. So yeah, at least a month.
That is amazing. But no, over here the restaurants and still not open even today. They are easing up. They eased up a lot more since Monday. So they're now getting people, closed shops are now opening up again. But restaurants, cafes, apparently, actually, no, wait a minute. I saw Costa Coffee saying that they'll open from tomorrow. I saw a couple of like old school English cafes open, but they would only do takeaways, no seating. You can't sit in the place.
We've got new rules, don't get me wrong. Like, for example, so indoor seating is very restricted. There's massive distance, but we're in Cyprus, so everything is outdoors anyway because, well, it's summer, summer 8 months of the year. So, it makes no...
But also you guys had a much stricter lockdown to begin with.
We went lockdown straight away.
Yeah, and also like curfews and all of that jazz. Britain never really had curfews. Although all the shops tend to shut around 10ish, I think it was. But there were no official curfews as far as I know. So, yeah, I mean, Britain obviously had a different situation to Cyprus. But Cyprus looks like they could open easier because they locked down harder.
And we also shut our airports like straight away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you guys had a much harsher lockdown, but of course, then when everything opens up, it eased up quicker as well.
Our cases have been through the floor. I mean, when it comes to people living here, we've had like maybe 1 or 2 every other day. We had a big spike of 6 the other day, but 5 of them were from repatriation flights. So it's like they don't count because, well, they count obviously, but we don't look at them as like, oh, do we have a problem? Are we going to get a second wave? Because they were from abroad. They were brought here with it, and they were put in a quarantine anyway, so they're not a risk to the whole island.
Oh my god, that's good. I mean, if they're doing good rigorous testing at the borders or at the entry in the airports and stuff, then that should be good. Listen, I wanted to get back. Did you see the little clip I just played on about this lady who gave a little bit of a speach?
No, I was in the back room, wasn't I? So I missed it.
Darn it. Okay, I'll tell you what. I will drop you the link. Have a little look-see. And it's just the last statement that I'm interested in. That's why I want you to sort of hear it, because it's the last statement that I'm quite curious about. What the hell? YouTube doesn't... Oh, wait a minute. No, private. Okay, this is on the side chat here. There it is. There's the link. It's a 1 minute video. It's literally 1 minute 30 seconds, something like that. It's very, very short. But it's the last final statement that she makes, because she says, you're lucky that black people are looking for equality and not revenge. And that sounded kind of threatening to the American system, I guess, so the American government. Now, I don't know, but 13% of the population threatening everyone else. I don't see that as a credible
what timestamp am I going to? Sorry.
Just go right down to like 30 seconds. Even you can even see that it's the final statement that she's made. But I mean, the whole thing is actually kind of makes I mean, the whole thing is actually much longer than 1 minute 30 seconds.
Sorry, I landed straight away and I was like, you dropped bombs on us. I'm like, don't harbor terrorists then. Straight up. Like, if you're going to harbor terrorists that come to our countries and fucking kill us, then we won't have to drop bombs on us. And to be honest, the American government doesn't just discriminately drop bombs. They spend a lot of money designing these bombs and missiles and whatnot to be precision accuracy.
That's not. I mean, what she's talking about is
Sorry, it's just because I landed on it. It was literally I pressed play and it was like, you dropped bombs on us. I'm like,
but she's not talking about abroad. She's not Muslim, or she's not talking about like abroad. She's talking about in America, they destroyed certain sort of kind of enclaves, or I don't know. It's a historical thing where where the black people actually set up almost their own little states. And the American government actually, I think, destroyed them in order to make I guess to force black people to live with white people, to sort of have a more of a cohesive society rather than this segregated black.
There's probably a bit more to it than that, like, for example, they didn't have planning permission or they didn't own the land or something like that.
I don't know exactly yet.
Without
I don't know
having to look into it, I'm just guessing here.
Yeah, but
obviously,
that's it.
but
That's it.
you
There
get
was this scenario back in the day where black segregated, and they were kind of building themselves up as their own, but then they were forced back into sort of thing. I don't know exactly the long sort of story about it. That's why I'm not too hung up on that.
Okay, but the thing is though, Banksy, we're talking about history. This woman wasn't alive then. These people don't want justice. They want vengeance. And there's a big difference in the two.
Well, this is it. This is exactly what at the end of that video, this is what I'm saying about listening to at the end of that video.
Yeah,
she says,
all right, let me listen.
You listen to it. Mute up and listen to it, and then I'll just go off on a little bit of a rant for myself, because I kind of wanted to make a statement before I started talking in the.
Okay, sorry, I just listened to it.
No worries, no worries. What I'll do is I'll mute up my mic.
I've listened to it. I've done it.
Oh, good man.
Yeah. So she says there, like, at the end, we're looking for equality, not revenge. And I'm like, what? You have equality. We are all equal under the law. So you have.
Good evening.
Hello, Arando.
Hey.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that was you. Okay, we have 3 people now. My rant is this. This is my particular rant about that little clip. I don't know if, Arando, you saw that clip or not. But
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. I saw it before. Yeah.
First of all, this nonsense about, you're lucky we're looking for equality and not revenge. You couldn't get revenge even if you wanted to. As much as these burning, all this looting and all this is going on, the fact is that the American police system is being very, very light-handed with you guys, with these guys. If they wanted to really bring down the hammer, the shit would be, it would be ridiculous.
Hey, the federal government can roll into anywhere and sort this all out overnight. Exactly. It isn't going to be a problem.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. The federal government is allowing the states to control the variety of violence or vandalism or whatever is happening according to their own state sort of laws, rather than coming in on a federal level and just dropping the hammer on them. So that's why you've got this Chaz place, you've got some looting and burning and all of these, because different states are trying to handle it differently, and that's the reason why these are being allowed, the targets allowed to be burnt and so on and so forth. She doesn't realize that ultimately, and this is where it comes down to with America, not so much Europe. I don't want to muddy the waters with Europe, guys. Let's keep it to America. With America, being that its history and how it came to be and how it came about, the United States in particular, you could also include Canada. Can you honestly, because I was initially going to say, okay, you African Americans, that is not your country. Your country is somewhere in Africa. If you're really pissed at all this, no, this is what I mean. That was my initial statement. Was that I was going to make the statement that this is not your country. Your country is somewhere in Africa. And if you're pissed at inequality, by all means, go and see if you can find equality in Botswana, in Nigeria, in Zimbabwe. I'm sure you'll find you have far more equality in America than you do over there. But I had to revise that because of the United States. Now, if I was talking about Germany, if I was talking about United Kingdom, I could make that statement. But I don't think you can make such a statement with the United States because of its history and how it came to be. If that's the case, then you have to say to every Irish, to every Polish, to every German, to every Scandinavian person who colonized or migrated to the United States, the same thing you have to say to the English themselves. So this is what I mean. Can that statement hold, or is that statement, is it fair to say to the African Americans that you have to, we have to fight for equality. You can't just go back to wherever you came from. That's just not going to wash.
Well, I mean, it's their country as much as it is anyone else's country. And I'd kind of say the same thing about black people in Britain, really. My stepmom was born and raised in Britain. It's as much as her country is my country, you know. By the way, my stepmom is black, you know. When it comes to this whole vengeance and whatnot, they're after vengeance. It's not justice and it's not equality, because they already have equality and they've had equality for a long time. We are all equal under the law.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Few persons have asked exactly these questions to some of those black panels yesterday, and they asked them, "What do you want?" Because they are not clear, right? When they are talking about equality, how are you not equal? And they couldn't answer the question. Right? They were speechless. When you ask them the question, what more do you want? What rights haven't you yet, right? They couldn't answer it. And what I would say to that lady, one quick statement is, before she said, you can be happy that we won't take revenge for it, that we don't want revenge, okay? She made those statements after she said, we will burn this whole place to the ground, right? So if this is not revenge, I don't know what is, okay? And yeah.
Well, no, she's saying the reason they don't feel, because people are arguing that why are you burning down your own communities, your own neighborhoods? This is your, places that you live. You're burning down your own shops. She says, these are not our shops. We don't own anything here. These are not. They don't belong to us. They just, they're just here. But they don't. The black community doesn't feel a sense of ownership of that community. They feel that they are just simply thrown into this neighborhood, to this society by the powers that be, and they're not allowed to grow their own
and the freedom.
Community. Sorry,
but they have the rights of freedom, equality, and everything else to fuck off and leave and go anywhere they want. I fucked off and left my country freely. Yeah. It's not difficult. You pack your shit and you leave.
Well, this is the thing. Should they leave or should they? I mean, if we are giving them,
it's up to them at the end of the day. It's their right to choose.
I tell you what, Banksy, to this question, I would say, it's the decision of the African Americans there, but if I would be taken as a slave, or many of my people would be taken as a slave, let's say, there were, by the way, a lot of Spanish, Irish people taken from those North African under Muslim rule, right? 1.25 million Europeans were taken from those Muslims, which were also a lot of blacks, North Africans. They have contributed to that. So we were enslaved as well. No one is crying about it anymore. But if I would be, let's say, in Afghanistan right now, right, and we were taking slaves, let's say 10,000 of Germans, and if I would be free then, right, free to move back, I would go back home. I wouldn't stay in the country that enslaved me, okay? I would be happy to go home. This is my, why should I live with people that enslaved me? No way.
Sorry guys, someone was saying the sound was out or it was down or something weird, and I was just testing it out to make sure that the sound is good. It seems to be perfectly fine. I don't understand. I can hear it from my phone.
Sound was fine.
I think there's a little bit. I can hear a little replay or echo.
Yeah, I had an echo for a few seconds. Now it's gone.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's me talking. Maybe it's something to do with me talking. Yeah, because I can hear myself echoing. Damn it! Wait a minute. I think I might know. I think I'm actually playing my own stream through myself. Let me see. Yeah, no,
Banksy the boomer.
If I'm checking everything, there's nothing there. But I can still hear the Have you guys all got
I
headsets
feel like
on?
it's coming. I have headsets on. I feel like it's coming from the. Sorry, I can't think of what your name is, mate. I know we've spoken before. Aaron, yeah.
Arundel, have you got headsets on?
Yes, I have my headset on. Yeah.
You have headsets as well.
No, it's coming from Banksy. Talk, Banksy.
Hello.
Yeah, it's coming from you.
But how?
Wait, I will mute myself here and listen to the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no,
it's gone.
Stopped.
It's gone.
Stopped.
That's what I mean. It's gone. It is
Aaron. Yeah. He's got bad headphones that are bleeding.
I think so. But I mean, that's not really that much of a problem. I mean, usually we do okay. But someone in the text said that, hey Atticus, you were getting a lot of shit yesterday from God of Jacob on Veli's channel. Okay. Wendy's saying it's fine. Everybody's saying it's fine. I'm gonna go with it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, Aaron, though, it's fine. Don't worry. We can cope with that little bit of echo. But Atticus was getting a lot of shit. Now, the thing is, this is my argument for the African Americans. Specifically, we're talking African Americans and the American situation. They don't feel that they have equality. They feel that they are systemically discriminated against through police brutality, through the justice system, etc. Now,
I mean, the police brutality exists, but it doesn't exist against a particular group. Police brutality in America is to all people. The police in America are not like our police in the UK. Our police are trained extremely well for de-escalation tactics. In America, it's like, if you feel like your life's in danger, mate, that's what that thing on your holster's for, to shoot them. And they shoot white people, black people, Chinese people. They shoot anyone if the copper feels his life is in danger. They shooting you.
Yeah. This will come over to Europe as well. The American police tactics.
I don't see that. No, I
see that
massively.
full.
No, I don't.
I mean, just yesterday, Banksy, did you hear about the situation in Dijon? In France?
Yeah. The thing is, that's because those Algerians actually have guns. They actually have pump-action rifles. They've got semi-automatics. They've got proper, I saw some serious hardware with those guys. And also that Algerian fight is happening between two different groups. It's internal. This is like a gang situation. This isn't some Black Lives Matter protest. This is a whole other thing that's going on there. But the thing is, in France, they have guns. Charlie Hebdo. It's a different landscape. You can't compare France to Britain. Britain has incredibly harsher gun laws, and you can't really, you just don't have that level of guns in Britain as we do in. In France or United States. United States is ridiculous, but France is even pretty bad. But as long as we don't have that many guns in the hands of civilians, the police will not have to escalate and have to carry guns. And as long as the gun situation is controlled, you can never get to the level of the police, the American police, then, because the police don't have, will not have guns just in their hands.
Even if we did have all guns, because quite a lot of pretty much all the European countries, their police are armed.
Yeah.
But our police are trained massively in de-escalation, and not just that, but they're actually given proper training. Like a lot of American police forces, their police are just like, you turn up and go, hey, I want to be a copper. And they're like, okay, here's a badge. Here's this. Oh, no criminal record. Perfect. Now you're a copper. Off you go, mate.
Yeah.
In Britain, it's
well, there is a 3 month.
It takes 6 months all in to be out in the streets. 6 months.
Baseman, welcome, Baseman. 6 months is it to train as a police officer, is it, mate? It's all right.
Yeah.
Where's that? In America or in the UK?
6 months.
Is that
UK?
Is that the UK?
Yeah, 6 weeks in a college, and then and then you have some practical training from obviously the trusted thug in the force in that local station.
Yeah.
But amazingly enough, it takes 2 years to fuck someone's haircut up, but it's only 6 months to take someone's liberty away.
Wait, that's better than what it is in America by miles.
Yeah, but that's the thing. In America, they have 3 months.
It takes 2 years to be a qualified hairdresser. All right.
Wow.
Those are two different careers, though, mate.
Yeah.
I will agree.
One fucks up a haircut, and the other one takes someone's liberty away.
Well, actually, the police don't take your liberty away. That would be the court that takes your liberty away.
They do, because they lie.
The police hold you.
They lie,
Yeah, they might lie and everything, but they don't take your liberty away. The court does. The court is the one that sentences you.
Because they put the cuffs on you and stick you in a box.
Yeah, to hold you while you go to a court, and then a judge and a jury determines if they're taking your liberty away.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that level is concerned, the final sort of thing. But the actual hammer at the the point of the spear is the police officer. They're the ones who actually initially take you away. They're the ones who actually constrain you. But of course, I mean, you could even argue: do even the courts take your liberty away? I think you could take that to the next level and say it's actually politicians that take our liberty away, because they are the ones who initiate or bring in the laws, which you will then fall foul of.
I'm going to say it's the court, because the court and the judge, because the judge and the jury can not take your liberty away because of circumstances,
Yeah, but they can't take your liberty away unless the police arrest you. Okay, so the initiation comes from the police.
But the police arrest you if the politicians make certain shitty laws that give the police that.
Where do you want to stop, though?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how many stages are we removed from the people who actually take our liberty away? Is it the politicians? Is it the courts? Or is it the police? I think ultimately it's the ones who make the bad laws. It wasn't the courts that ruled that the COVID laws and the lockdown laws should be, that should be the things that they should have these powers that the police are now, in some cases you could say, abusing. It wasn't, it was the politicians that brought in these laws, and the police are simply, taking advantage, if you like, of them. But anyway, I want to get back to the whole concept of the blacks or the really the African Americans in America. How is it? This is something that I can't get my head around, that they're complaining. I mean, this lady was complaining about these 400 years of inequality, 400 years of working for free, building up the country and building up the white man's wealth. And now, because she was using this monopoly sort of an analogy, that afterwards, for 50 years, we were given equal sort of playing ground to make the same money. But even then, we were giving money away to the white man. Now, I'm not entirely sure on what basis.
The exact opposite, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what she was saying about what kind of money. Is it taxes, what it is? But nevertheless, what I don't understand, this is the part that they never seem to acknowledge, is that for 400 years, fine, you were slaves. Then afterwards you got equality or started working towards equality. It wasn't a sudden thing anyway. It was an incremental thing. But eventually, let's say by the 1980s, let's start the clock at 1980. By that point, it's really very hard to say that a black person didn't have the same rights as a white person in America. And if that is the case, if all these Jim Crows and all these other things have been eroded away and now you have total equality, I can tell you that people who went to the United States in the 1980s from my own country, Iran, from Korea, from all sorts of places in the world, and have managed to do very, very well for themselves and are living very good lives. And actually in the 1980s, the 79, 1980 is a poignant thing for me, because that was the exact year of the 1979, 1980 was the exact year of the Iranian Revolution. So my country at that point went down the shitter. It started going just downhill. So Iranians fled. They went to America. In fact, most of them went to Los Angeles. It's like full of Iranians there. I don't see Iranians complaining about the terrible inequalities and the terrible things that have been enacted, the unfairness against them in America.
What I want to know is America more racist now than it was before it had a double-sitting mixed race president?
Well, no, it's less racist now.
Is it less?
But
Obama was way more racist than Trump. Obama was a black identitarian. Trump is a civic nationalist. This is what he is. He's pandering to blacks all the time, as well as Mexicans. And of course, he never mentioned white people because this is out of the window. This is out of the Overton window. He might implicitly mean sometimes addressing white people, but explicitly he's mentioning blacks, women, and Mexicans all the time, right? Yeah, he's a civic nationalist. This is what he is, and he's making new police laws. He's cucked to the left on that, right? Releasing people because of the coronavirus and all this shit. He's done nothing what he promised. He has not built a wall. He has only fixed some parts of the wall. He has not done anything against the internet censorship. I mean, this guy he's just cucking all the way. He's big talking sometimes, but if you look at what he's doing, no, he's a civic nationalist and a globalist to some extent, and a Zionist.
Well, we're talking about Trump, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Trump has only been around for 4 years. We can't say that this situation has happened in the last 4 years. This is far-reaching, far longer situation than the last 4 years. I don't really imagine. I think in the last 4 years, the media and people like Antifa have sown the concepts of division. They've really started to hammer down this us and them concept. So they started to plant the seeds of division within the American, within the American country, the country of the United States. But this hasn't come about in the last 4 years. This has happened.
No, it's always been like this. Yeah, the Antifa are no worse, and the far left are no worse than what they were 30 years ago. I mean, in Britain, we had the newspaper articles calling them the loony left and stuff. The left is no worse and no better than it was, the far left I'm talking about, than what it was 30 years ago. They're exactly the same. The only difference is now is we have the internet where we all get to see it a lot more.
To Atticus, I have to say, no, I wasn't saying that Obama fixed everything for black people, and yes, he has let black people down, but he is virtue signal to black people. He is speaking to black people, addressing black identity all the time, and yes, this is what he has done. And
okay,
Trump is more of a civic nationalist trying to unite everyone in the US. This is what I see.
Yeah, I mean, let's I'm still exploring this concept of, would the African Americans be better off if they segregated from the rest of the United States?
No, they'd be worse, and segregation is bad.
Why?
Well, self-segregating. If you want to go live with your own kind, that's fine. But state-sanctioned segregation is wrong.
Not state. To actually.
So then we're talking about individuals making choices of living with people of their own kind.
Yeah, but actually,
that's their own freedom and liberty to go do that.
Well, how about if we say the state will facilitate if a large number of African Americans wish to
because
segregate?
then they're getting priority treatment over another group that isn't getting that treatment.
No, but the thing is, you got to realize Americans the African Americans are a priority or a separate entity to the other nationalities in the United States anyway, because the whole thing about, for example, what's it called? What was affirmative action? Affirmative action was brought in order to bring up the African Americans from those periods of slavery and sort of held that they were held back. This doesn't apply to the Japanese. It doesn't apply to Chinese and Koreans and Iranians. No, this was just for the African Americans. This wasn't for the Mexicans. Well, no, not even the Mexicans. Why should the Mexicans got Mexico? Go fix your shit in Mexico.
Or affirmative action. Affirmative action is another form of racism. It's simple because you're treating one group better than the other.
Yeah, but the reason, but no. But the reason they've done that, the reason they did that exception was because of the years of slavery that those African Americans.
They shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done.
But
did
what
Britain
I'm saying
ever
is,
do that?
No. I mean, no other country did. But then, people are arguing in Britain that there is an equality for blacks, etc. I mean, they've got their own delusions. I don't think there is inequality here, but people are still complaining. But what I'm saying is, the reason they did that in America was that the blacks, the African Americans who were ancestors of slaves, they can get a leg up, so that they can bring them in line with the rest of society.
What's done with the leg up, though?
Sorry?
What have they done with the leg up?
Well, this is exactly it. This is the thing. Is that it seems...
I mean, a lot of them have done well, but a lot of them have also took the fucking piss and done jack shit.
Well, this is the argument, is that this affirmative action has not actually produced the results that the African American communities wanted. So, how about if instead of this concept of affirmative action, how about we create a newly formed African American state within the United States?
Banksy, I have a question to this whole Jim Crow era. It just shoot in my mind, right? Were there basically separation laws also against other races? Like there were a lot of Chinese also in America during that time. Were they also not allowed to sit on buses with whites or something like that? Because I've never heard someone talking about that. I'm always Jim Crow was always just against blacks. I don't know. Was it?
It was. It was against the freed slaves sort of period, and those who gained their independence. It all starts. I mean, it's the problem is, a lot of this was in the South. It wasn't necessarily in New York or in the North or in Los Angeles and places like that. So the North, there is literally a North-South divide between how these laws and how these things were enacted in the United States. So, but what I'm curious is, even though, let's say, the North was a freer, more progressive part of the United States, even during the slavery era, how is it that today we have these massive gun problems and gang problems in Chicago, which is the North? It's not the South. It had nothing to do with the South.
That's more poverty, where you have large amounts of poverty, you have increased crime, and increased crime means increased gun violence.
This is a minor factor. If poverty would be the cause for this huge overrepresentation in all sorts of violent crimes, then you would see more white people in the percentage, because you have something like what was it? Almost double the numbers of whites in poverty than blacks in poverty, because whites are still the majority. So you would expect to see that in the statistics, but you won't see that. It is only a minor factor.
I didn't say it was the majority factor. I was just saying it was a factor, though.
Yeah, culture and also aggression is a bigger factor.
Well,
IQ is a bigger factor. Single-parent households is a bigger factor. If you have a culture that promotes violence like no other, right? They are making, and we see that even in Black Lives Matter, they are taking thugs as their heroes, as their martyrs, or how do you pronounce it, right? Well, because you see that as well in all the hip hop music, right, where they praise these.
Well, I think people from Chicago had a good idol. They had Obama, but last week they killed. It was 18 in 24 hours.
Yeah. In
Chicago.
In one weekend or something, in Chicago.
24 hours, 18 kills.
Wow. I'm beginning to.
Obama was there like fucking candidate. They're like MP or whatever.
Well, yeah, he was senator. I think he was a senator, wasn't he, for or congressman for Chicago. But I'm just trying to get to a place where I can't see why. Since the African Americans have been in America for so long, they've endured. They are more culturally homogenous to the or culturally what's the term? Climatized. Assimilated, if anything, climatized to the American, to the American system than any other culture. And yet, a Japanese guy or a Korean guy or an Iranian with nothing, without two pennies to rub together, goes to America and makes such success out of their lives.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
And so what is going on here?
Poor immigrants doing better over time than those, and this is why it's no excuse for me. So because these people are living in the past, are blaming others for their mistakes, okay, and don't take self-responsibility, this is why they are failing. Most of it is due to that, I would say. And I would tell black people, listen to your wise elders like Thomas Sowell, right? Do you know him, this guy?
Yeah, Thomas Sowell,
yeah.
Big,
listen to someone
Candace
like
Owens
this.
is a big fan of him.
Yeah, instead of these low IQ Tariq Nasheed guys, who, by the way, was destroyed by Mr. Jared Taylor. You see, this Thomas Sowell, for example, he would crush this guy, right? He's an idol, okay? If I would be a black guy, I would cringe if I see Tariq Nasheed, okay? He's a bad example for the black race. I would hold up a higher standard, someone like Thomas Sowell or some very high IQ black guys, but they are doing the exact opposite, and yeah.
Yeah, let me just address a question Walter asked. This is Walter asked a question saying, well, not a question, a statement. Banksy, they didn't come over as migrants. I agree with you, Walter, but that should have given them the leg up. They're already familiar with the country. They already speak the language fluently. They have all of these advantages to some, Arab or Iranian or Turk.
Can I say something, right? Is when America abolished slavery, every single black person had the opportunity to leave. The federal government of the United States went to Africa and set up a state for them. Some of them did. So all these modern day black people, I don't see why they have a fucking leg to stand on about bitching about their ancestors, because their ancestors were the ones that decided to stay. So it's not Whitey's fault that they're here. It's not Whitey's fault that they're in this situation. Their great-great-grandparents, I wish I could think of the name of the country that basically...
Is it Liberia? Are you talking about Liberia?
I think it's Liberia.
Yeah.
I think so.
There was a country, yeah.
And a lot of black Americans did. They were like, oh, freedom. Oh, you're going to pay for me to get on this ship and go back to Africa? Well, I'm going to do that. And a lot of them did that. Some of them
also
didn't.
Haiti, to some extent. Haiti was taken by the slaves and they pretty much brutally
killed.
But
that's not the same thing, though, because the American federal government actually offered to pay and transfer them to Liberia free of charge, and they had a state there, an actual country of their to call their own and whatnot.
Yeah.
Haiti was just a revolt, and then they created their own state.
But what I mean is, again, the Haitians managed to take a country for themselves, so they won it like most civilizations. They won it outright. They fought for it. They killed. They had a war,
revolt.
and these countries have been made in this manner all over the place, all over the world. So you would have thought, okay, the Haitians, well done. You did it. You revolted. You killed your slave masters, and you won a country of your own. Now look at where Haiti is today. It's like holy shit.
Banksy, have you seen what's been going on in France?
Oh yeah,
It's the French.
Yeah, the Algerian thing.
Oh, you're on about that. Sorry.
Are you talking about the Algerians?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Czechs and Nigerians. Yeah.
So I've direct messaged him to Twitter for you if you want to play him, and I haven't put the one where he's hanging dead out the car. I haven't put that one up.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. Yeah,
but this is a great example, Banksy. These Chechens, for example, right?
Put it in there.
I wrote the article, and these people were fleeing from the conflict with the Russian Republic, right? They had the war with the Russians, and they fled. And France has no idea, and no one can really, all those civic nationalists.
Come in. As soon as you arrive in France, everything, you'll be fine. You leave all that behind.
Exactly. You don't know who these people are that you let in this country.
Yeah,
these can be terrorists, and no one can really check who these people are.
Guys,
and
I don't want to.
It's like the Trojan horse, right?
Yeah, I don't want to veer too far. That's why I'm not engaging with the French thing, because the French thing is a French issue and it's a European issue, and that's gonna veer us too far away.
Whoa, Banksy, you said that us Europeans don't count. Are you oppressing my people?
I'm trying to keep the conversation.
It's all connected though, Banks, isn't it?
Well,
it is
I don't
all
know.
Connected.
Is it
Tracy,
really connected?
You're telling me what's going on in France today is not going to happen in Britain in 5 years.
Well, no, that's our issue. That's the European issue. I'm talking about the African Americans in America and their specific plight and their specific issue, because theirs is different from what an Algerian did,
Police
what a Moroccan does.
Everybody.
Sorry?
It's not really a colour thing. I mean, the reason why that the figures might be a little bit more against when they're convicted is because they a lot of the time they resist and there's violence involved, and that's why they get beat up, and that's why they're sentenced to miss a bit longer. But
I mean, let me address this thing, Walter. Walter, I wish you'd jump on the panel, mate, because you're talking in the text, you're talking to me, but you're not actually on the panel, so I can have a back and forth with you. But that's up to you. That's fine if you don't want to jump on this Kufar's YouTube stream. But as far as what you said, you said, do white kids have bananas thrown at them today and listen to racial slurs from white people? Well, I don't know. I know plenty of black people who call them crackers. I know plenty of people who nowadays call them, run devil man, run. I hear a lot of shit thrown at white kids as well.
You made those over the last months. You put up the Karen meme, right?
Yeah.
This is also what this is the I think the second biggest. Yeah, the second. No, I don't know if black
it was
one did it. Yeah,
from what I hear, it was actually black girls who actually look at these white women who talk about, let me see your manager. And they kind of created but that's what I
think it was at first, as far as I have understood it, of women overall. It was coming from the MGTOW movement, and then it was taken over by the left. The first meme, other than the OK Boomer meme, maybe, that the left was able to take it over completely. And when you see, I saw some videos over on a guy that had a stream with Stefan Molyneux, and later I was checking up his channel, and he had some beefs with some black woman. And if you know what the Karen meme is, and you see how a black woman react, they are like princes, right? Exact like the liberalist white woman, but now it's only a white meme against white female insanity. But you can also put it down on especially, I would say, black women. They feel so entitled, it's unbelievable. They I don't see at least explicitly white women call themselves princes and queens and all of this.
Are you kidding me? I know white girls that do that all the time.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean,
what?
No, the queen thing, admittedly, do black women refer to themselves as queens or Nubian queens and this and that, but princesses, fucking I hear that from white chicks all the time.
Yes,
you gotta get out more, man.
I agree with you. A lot of these feminists, definitely, but you see the same behavior with black women. I mean,
I don't see
you
that as
just have to listen to some black men advocates, right, to see that. And it would be more fitting. I say if it wasn't racial based, this meme, I would promote it, but right now it is just anti-white. It has become anti-white, while it should be against those privileged women who was always noising, right? That
the thing is, Aaron, though, they call them divas anyway. I mean, the term diva has been used to highlight, like, privileged women who just act up. But this Karen thing at the moment is a white woman because there's just so many Karens around. Walter, I would like to bring Walter in. Well, thank you for coming on, Walter.
Before you carry on, mate, I'm gonna have to shoot.
No worries, Jay. Thank you for coming.
It's busy life here in paradise and everything, where no one gives a fuck about BLM or any other shit, mate. Do you know what's happened here in Cyprus since the coronavirus lockdown?
Party.
Fuck all. Partying, eating souvla, drinking coffee.
Nice.
And saying, LRA!
I gotta come over, man. I gotta come over.
You do. But by the way, you're still banned from entering my country because you're British, and Brits are not welcome here at the moment. Sort your corona out, and we might let you in. But anyway, I gotta go.
Take care, Jay. Love you, mate.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye. Walter, let's bring in Walter because Walter's been texting a lot. Walter, please come in with your thoughts.
No, I mean, we have to understand that you can't. America has been a racial culture since slavery existed. Let's think about this. If we look at the 1950s, when was the first African American man allowed to play baseball? Simplest, American sport. He had to walk in from the back doors. Okay? When you look at the North, you say the North. A black person was never getting the fair share of jobs in the 1950s. I don't care what anybody says. Because if that was the case today, you would have probably an equal police force, equal amount of doctors, all this type of stuff.
But why would you think that would...
Segregation, but wait a minute. We're talking about a culture here that always put a certain people down.
But Walter,
and to this day, when an immigrant comes over, he doesn't have this thing about him. To this day, there's still black kids getting racial slurs called them. White people, I can have white kids being a whole bunch of white kids together. You don't have 20,000 kids calling themselves, or not 20,000, but people in the crowd all of a sudden just throwing them because you look different. This happens in the States. This happens in North America. This happens in a professional athlete in Italy, goes to England, starts playing soccer, and he's getting... When does a white soccer player go to an African country and get racial slurs thrown at him?
I would say to this, I hear a lot of cavemen.
This is a bad culture we have. Racism taught both ways. I agree with that. It's taught through the white side, it's taught in the black side. But you have to understand that in America, this culture of slavery has only ended just 40 years ago? And now that it's they got to get in.
I think it's a little bit longer than 40.
Okay, let's say segregation. When did the first black man start playing baseball? Let's say.
Well, okay. I mean, as I said, I can accept and say let's.
Even to this day, in hockey, in sports, only just even to this day, it's sometimes.
What about athletics? What about the intermediates? What about athletics? What about boxing?
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is what I was just going to say. The thing is,
listen. Let's not talk about three things that happen.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk about the reality.
Yeah, but Walter.
Well, that's it. Talk about reality. Let's not talk bullshit.
Yeah,
you're not talking. You're talking bullshit because you're trying to make it like they had the equal start.
No, you're playing the victim card. Win a game.
Hold on, Base.
We're talking about a state of attitude. An attitude like you're talking right now. That you believe.
Yeah, because as soon as you come on, you went victim. They don't play.
Well, that's okay. But we can. Well, Base. That's okay. He can make his statements, and then we will counter those statements because this is something I wanted to ask you, Walter. if the black people, if a particular community, doesn't matter, Chinese, Japanese,
That's
Mongolians.
not the point. Bansky,
No, listen.
the black community,
Let me-
every time they fight they have to fight harder. They had to fight harder to get in the door.
No, Walter. Let me make my statement, and then
Come on, you can't say you don't believe that.
No,
Especially in the States.
I don't believe it, at least for the last 30 years minimum. But
How can you,
but I will explain to you.
How can you? First of all, there's a rat race. It's already that white people are fighting with each other in the rat race. Okay, white people are fighting to get to the top in the rat race. Okay, they usually have buddies that help other buddies that help other buddies, and we're all helping other buddies.
I don't see that at all.
Now you have 70-80% people that are white, and they're all helping each other. Now, now the black person, in order to get into that rat race, he's already behind because he's been held back.
Listen,
for so
Walter,
many years. So in order for him to get it going into that, he's got to work a little harder.
Okay, Walter, let me give you this scenario.
Society sucks, sadly.
I know. Let me make a couple of statements, and
No,
then
let me just jump in here a minute, right? Let me just jump in here in a minute, right? He's turned around and he's saying, "Oh, because white on white, white will back up white." So let's break it down. So we got a black chap. He's really good at his job. He sells more than all the white guys do. And you know why that is? Because he's a better salesman, right? But the boss can't promote him.
But how did he get to that job?
Oh,
wait a minute! You're already at the. Wait a minute! Whoa! You're already.
He sells more.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
No,
Listen.
let me
You're talking about
guys,
a guy
take it
who's
easy.
already made it to the top.
It's about money. It's not about colour. It's
You're
about
already
money.
talking about a guy who's already made it to the top. We're talking about the average Joe. What makes a society?
Walter.
What makes a society? And always remember.
Well, that can't say when it's an average show. We're all
one at a time, everyone. One at a time.
Listen for 1 second. What makes a society is not doctors and lawyers. What makes a society is the average person.
Well,
right?
This is the thing.
Because,
I wanted to tell you
when
this.
you look at an average society, most average people have just regular jobs. Okay, they go to a regular job, and they do that. Now, in production plants, restaurants, things like that. All this is what makes a society. Don't always look at doctors and lawyers. Who gives a shit about doctors?
Listen, Walter.
At the end of the day, what makes a society is the regular Joe.
Okay, but Walter, let me make this statement, because you made the statement that why isn't there equal number of doctors and nurses and whatever if the black people have been have had an equal opportunity? But you gotta look at the statistics. This is where numbers. No, hold on. Let me finish. The fact is, black people, African Americans in America, represent 13% of the population. They should only have the same equivalence of doctors and nurses and lawyers.
All I am saying is, Banksy, you're asking for something to happen that still needs more time. People have to change. Still,
the thing is,
it's still very early. It's still very early in society.
Well, you can say that. I don't believe this is where we differ. I don't believe that it is to do with the matter of time. I think it's to do with a matter of a change of thinking, a change of perspective. I don't think black people just need more time in America. African Americans need just more time to catch up, because other nationalities,
not the African Americans, the white people got to change.
No, I don't think the white people actually have to change. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm sorry, Banksy. Like I said, you look at a society, you go to a football game, you go to some game, like I said, you see it in the crowds.
Yeah, but
you see how a person will put racial slurs.
Walter, it doesn't matter.
Let me give you
it doesn't matter how many. No, hold on.
This
it doesn't matter.
Be happening.
Walter, hold on. It doesn't matter how many racial slurs Michael Jordan endured during his time. He still became Michael Jordan. That society gave him that opportunity.
You see, there you go. You just said it. There you go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
My kid going to being a baseball kid, playing at time 12, 13. He's not going to get any racial slurs. He doesn't even have to say, "Daddy, why did they call me
the point isn't
Daddy,
that.
why do they do this to me?"
Listen, Walter, I'm trying to explain to you.
This is what they get.
I'm trying to explain to you that the African Americans have to have a change of perspective, change of mindset as how they approach their life in the United States. Because if they just carry on going that the white people have to change in order for us to be successful, they're going to wait another 1,000 years. You don't give the power to the other person.
When people are doing something wrong, you have to tell them.
No, it doesn't matter. You can tell them, but you don't expect.
People just going to change.
You don't have
just going to change if they don't realize they're doing something wrong.
You don't wait around waiting for them to change in order for you to be successful. No Iranian, no Japanese or Korean comes to the United States and waits around for the whites to stop being racist before they become successful.
Special victim card. I'm here.
Don't you understand? We're talking about a generation of people, okay, and their kids that have just
but you're not changing, are you? The generation of people isn't changing.
Their people down for so long. So
can I
and then you also have white people who believe they were inferior to them, whereas they
can I say something to that?
Get into the same footing into the door as a lot. Now, all I'm saying is that mindset have to change. You have to look at people as equals.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The thing is, this is the problem.
And sometimes what I find is that in American culture, they might talk the shit, but they don't.
That's why you talk about color all the time.
Okay, in the form of representation, I would say the Mexicans are almost the same population as the blacks. They are 11.3% of the US population. I don't see them in TV programs as much as blacks. I don't see them being held in advertisement as much as blacks. I don't see them perform in sports as well as blacks, and by that having big representation. I don't see it. So and the same with Asian people. I don't see them being in Hollywood so promoted as black people, not in music industry so much promoted in America than black people. So when we are talking about representation, media representation, black people are overrepresented.
Listen, you know that there's a show called Star Trek. It was the first time that a black man and a white woman kissed on TV.
Sure. That was a groundbreaking thing. That's fine.
You know what I'm saying? We're talking 1966.
And what year was that?
50 years ago, that's nothing.
Yeah, but
I was going to say 1967.
This is what we're talking. We're talking about a culture in the States that was racially segregated, even between
1966.
You understand?
That's 76, 86, 96,
so you gotta say that doesn't help a society where they're always fighting.
50 years ago. Oh,
no, the thing is, hold on, guys. The thing is, Walter, I set the start date of equality at 1980. Now you're telling me that in 1960s the movement towards equality was already happening, and
I'm talking about how we're talking about one person.
No, but
and it was still in the night. And Archie Bunker came out. That was even still problems.
I know, Walter. There will always be problems. There will always be problems. You will never find a corner of this planet that will not have racial problems. The only way I, as an Iranian, and this is the fucked up thing, because I always bring myself into it because I don't want to talk from anybody else's perspective. I can only talk from my perspective. As an Iranian, I have less problems and less racism, not even racism, should I say, less restrictions on my freedom in Britain than I do in Iran. A country that they may not call me a foreigner or some kind of, I don't know, whatever slur you want to call me, sand N-word or a camel jockey. In this country, I may be called those names, and yet I still have more freedom to do what I want here than in the country of my ancestors. That's why I'm over here.
I'm regularly called a sheepshagger. Really? Because you said about people being called names. You were mentioning that your son might be called a name.
No, but
he's getting a shot at it. He has to open up his own business.
Yeah, but Walter, what I'm trying to explain to you is that you take any African American and tell them pick the country of your choice in the continent of Africa where you would have more freedoms to do what you wanted to do than the United States. And I will promise you they won't find one. Because right now, you can
Banksy,
go to Nigeria.
I'm talking about
Walter. You know a black man.
You look, I know of Jamaican people that came over and they're working, they're thriving. I know of Haitian people that have come over, they're working. There's African people from the Ivory Coast, from South. You know, they come over, they're thriving. Yeah. They're working. We're talking about a certain culture.
Yeah, but
Walter, we're not talking about
why
just
is it that
regular
the Haitian
immigrants.
and the Nigerian is doing
why
that
are they
is better
special?
than the African
Why is that
American?
culture special? Why are they special?
When they come, like it's even when some of them when a lot of this.
So Jamaican wasn't based on Jamaican. There wasn't no slavery in Jamaica.
Hold on, base. Hold on, Walter. Sorry. Okay. Go Walter, and then Base, you go afterwards.
Sometimes, look, they're saying that sometimes a guy from, let's say, a person from Africa he'll come here, and then all of a sudden he'll come to Canada. He'll feel a little bit of fight, but it's not as bad. But when you go into the States, there's a tension there.
Yeah. Guys, I just want to.
Why is that?
Okay, Base.
Why is that?
You get 30 seconds, and then I want to bring in Wendy because I haven't spoken. Hello, Wendy. How's it going?
Hi, love. Hi. Lieutenant Ahura here.
Carry on, Wendy.
Welsh, you get 30 seconds. Say your piece.
Well, he's mentioned about African Americans, and it's a different culture. And then he gave an example of Jamaica and St. Ives, where I believe there was slavery over there as well.
They just don't get it. I mean, it's the culture.
I don't get it. No, I don't get it.
But Walter, my crux
it's
of
a
my
racial culture.
They both came from slavery.
Like I said, in today's world,
you actually give examples. Well, when one's thriving and the others aren't.
Poor kid getting racial slurs.
About the culture. I get called a sheep shag about every 2 days.
2020, and this is a people in a crowd of sports. This makes no sense.
Okay, Walter.
Because it shouldn't be happening.
Walter,
it
shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening.
6 foot tall or something. It's going at.
Welsh. Give me a second. Let me reply to this. Walter, you're telling me that the thing that is holding back the African American compared to the Jamaican and the Nigerian is that a white guy is calling that black boy some kind of racial slur. That's what's holding him back from success.
That's what you just said.
What type of people are out there and what
Walter,
there are whole.
There's always those type of people out there.
You're saying about that one thing, but this is a culture.
Yeah, I know, but Walter,
so
I'm trying to fix.
If these people, wait a minute, if these people are able to do this in a crowd where they're not even like they looked at maybe okay, cool, but they don't realize how they're speaking.
No, Walter. Listen.
They don't even realize what they're talking. So I'm saying that
hang on, wait, what?
Banksy, I want to respond to the point, but I will come back to it later. I will let Wendy go on first.
Wendy, go ahead. Everyone give Wendy a good solid 1 minute to just have
I just want to ask him a few questions. So, do not black people use the same slurs to refer to themselves?
Oh, here we go.
But it's not a slur to them.
This is.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you know what's sad?
You know what's sad?
Hold on, Walter,
I want to say something.
No, I know, but this is Wendy's minute. You get a minute afterwards. You get a minute after Wendy.
Okay.
You get a right to reply.
Come on, just like lower queue.
Wendy, you got 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's one question. And my second question is, isn't it more of a class thing? About the black people that complain and moan about words.
Okay.
Isn't it more to do with your environment and where you live? But right next door to you, you've probably got poor white people as well. Isn't it, more about that, about the environment you live in and the fact maybe some people are not working?
No worries. Are you finished, Wendy? Shall I?
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Walter, you got a solid minute. Go ahead, respond to that.
I mean, I'm just saying for a person to use this word in a song, it's just to show you how much has affected their lives, that they have to put it in a song in order to make it represent, listen, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It's like when I put do white guys go around doing that? They don't have nothing to. It's nothing been put on them. It's nothing that's been put on their shoulders.
Okay. Is that your statement?
It absolutely makes no sense. Like it's
30 seconds.
If you look at from the outside, that a culture has to do this. in order to beat the type of bullshit that they had to go through. Just shows you how hard it is sometimes.
Okay. Well, I'll address
Instead
that.
of looking at it that way, they put it in songs. Why don't you look at it?
No, I didn't say songs.
Hold on. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Walter, are you done?
Sorry.
Walter? Okay, Walter is done. Okay, who wants to respond to this? Wendy.
I would.
If you'd like to go, you get 1 minute, and then afterwards I want to bring in Jupiter, guys. And then Erendo, after that, after Jupiter, it's you.
So, Walter, I didn't say songs, did I? I said you refer to each other by a certain word.
But that's part of the song. Walter. That's something that happened. You know, that's part of how it worked out. It was like,
yeah, but then you can't complain if other people use the exact same word. Why use it at all?
So should use it at kids too, and while they're growing up.
You've made it popular again. Even white kids refer to
parents in the crowd calling them names. Is that what you're saying? You should use it on that.
You choose to use it. You've made it popular again. You've made it popular again, and now you're crying about it.
In a crowd.
Well, I don't know. I don't even think Walter is. Walter, are you?
Nobody's saying like, "Fuck, let's get this guy." Who is these people?
Walter, hold on. Walter, are you African American?
A white child won't go.
Walter, are you African American?
They don't have to put up with that shit.
Well, Walter,
really?
Walter, can you hear me? Walter, are you African American?
To me, it makes no sense anyway.
Walter, sorry, can you hear me, Walter? I don't know.
I can't hear. I think everything.
Can you hear me, Walter? Can you hear me? Hello, Walter. Oh shit! I think Walter can't hear me.
I can't hear.
Okay, Walter, can you hear me? Walter, can you hear me?
Bansky, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Everyone.
Yeah, I can hear everyone, but
yeah, Walter, jump out and jump back in. Can someone tell Walter jump out and jump back in?
Yeah,
okay.
He's got.
Jupiter, please, 1 minute, say your piece, and then Erendo's next.
I just think it's being ridiculous. It's more to do with class, especially in Britain. I mean, America may have some racial problems and tensions, but even in Britain, you get racial tensions. But to say that white people don't receive any slurs or racial slurs or don't know what it's like to be called racial slurs is just fantasy. It even happens in Britain. Because minorities are capable of racial slurs like everybody else. They're not perfect. I don't know why they want to be special. I don't know why they think that they should have rules that apply to them different. And when they say they want equality, do they really want equality? No, they don't want equality because they want revenge and they want to be everybody else. They want to hold the victim card and they don't want anybody else to have anything else to complain about. Words are words. Calling somebody four eyes, fat, cunt, slag, bitch, whore, faggot, but queer, whatever, it's just as equal to being
Okay, thank you, Jupiter. Okay, Erendo, I'm sorry, guys. Erendo has to have his minute because he's been waiting patiently, like when everyone else went. Erendo, say your responses to whatever it is that you want to go.
I would agree with Jupiter to a large degree here, surprisingly enough. The narrative that Walter only sees racial slurs coming from white people towards blacks and not the other way around is just mind-blowing to me. I would admit that it comes from both sides, but I would say that white people are scared to death to say the N-word, and if some white person would say the N-word, other white people would call him out, call him racist, and take the side of the black person, okay? And you won't see that if a black person insults a white.
What is right?
Hold on.
Insults a white person. You won't see that.
I don't take the sides of anybody.
Walter, hold on.
And what I see. Wake up, smell the coffee,
please.
Man.
What is far worse than calling someone a racial slur, like the typical racial slurs, like the N-word or an AIDS or someone, something like that, right?
You don't even understand what the point I'm trying to make.
Based.
Okay, can I finish?
Please, guys.
Can I finish?
Let Erendo at least finish.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an extra few seconds. Please wrap it up.
Okay, I have to go on. What's far more dangerous than calling white people a caveman or cracker is, in fact, the demonization of whites. Okay, that you are evil person. That is equivalent to what the Jews have been experienced and what we call anti-Semitism, which leads to genocide. Okay, if you make people as the greatest evil in the world and they are responsible for holding you down, this is far more racist than calling someone a caveman or an N-word, right? This is dangerous. And to say you have this black supremacist group out there like the Black Panther movement or the Black Hebrew Israelites who demand that white people kneel for them. Okay, this is a kind of racism which is extraordinary in the 21st century. You won't see when some white guy would do something like that, he would get slaughtered on the streets. Okay.
Somewhere else where I'm not even talking about. We're talking about a culture.
Thank you. Okay.
So I don't even know where you're going.
Walter, can you hear me? First of all, let's check. Let's have a mic test. Walter?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know where this Elderon always goes up somewhere else.
No, it's okay. So, I mean, I know he's got a white angle to everything, and he's promoting, basically saying that right now it is the white race that's being demonized rather than like worrying about black slurs and like someone calling someone an N-word.
Look, all I'm saying, I'm admitting, you gotta admit that a person who was brought over. I mean, even like back, if you go to the time of back in the Roman days, the person who was brought over and he's taken as a slave is always going to have a little bit of have to fight harder in a society where people have always seen them as inferior, and you have to get that mindset out of society.
Yeah, well, you got
so that the rat race could be equal.
Walter, are you American African? Are you African American?
No, I'm a Canadian white guy.
Oh, he's a white Canadian. Okay,
whatever you call.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I never had any slaves, and they didn't pick any cotton. So I don't know what you're on about. You know, you only can do what you can do.
I'm not talking. Listen, you're one guy, base special. We're not talking about one person. We're talking about
a system,
society-wide. There's a system that has to, like you said, like even though
they voted
even though equality,
they voted a black president twice.
He's so like, look, he's right.
So racist.
Hold on, base. Let him at least finish his sentence.
What?
You're looking at a society who made it hard for a people to get in. That's all I'm saying. And this only happened.
Obama done well, didn't he?
A few years back.
Huh?
What are you on about? I'm sorry, Walter. I can't
Obama.
Tell you, right?
Obama, like what?
People have been enslaved in their past as well.
Is he not black, Obama? Is he not a black Obama?
Right, and they had, and this we're talking
so
hundreds
he voted in
of
a mixed
years.
race guy. So they're half racist because they voted in a mixed race guy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay, guys, let me get 1 minute because I want to address some of the things Walter is saying. A couple of things. First of all, housekeeping. Guys, I've given some people in the chat some administrative mod powers because some text just keeps getting blocked by YouTube. Please be great power comes great responsibility and all that shit.
Okay.
Just don't block people automatically. This is housekeeping in the chat. I just had to make that. Can
I make a statement about the chat a minute, just before you make your statement? If you're writing weird and odd words, just break the words up into 2 words, and it won't even get reviewed. Then a lot of things you say actually get reviews, and you see them, but no one else sees them because I'm a mod. No one else sees your chat. If you break bitch up into 2 words, it'll go through.
Yeah, swear words especially, they're not going to come through. YouTube keeps blocking them. Even though I've set my settings.
You think they've gone through?
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get back to what, Walter, you were saying. Look, Walter, my interests are in solutions for problems, not just pointing out, there's a solution here. We just have to change the whole of the white race in order for this problem to be fixed. Which is easier? Think of it this way. Which is easier? To convince the whole of the white world not to use racial slurs against black people, or to tell black kids not to be influenced and so sensitive to black slurs that might come at them in the life that they live? Is it better to make black children stronger and more robust to these slurs so that they can ignore them and keep going forward and succeeding? Or do we have to wait until white people...
You're trying to say... But Banksy, why would you assume that they don't say that? Why would you assume that a black family wouldn't say that to their children?
Yeah, but what I'm... No. But Walter...
Do you think they're not doing that? And that still... It's tough. It's still tough.
But life is tough. Life is tough.
But that's what it's exactly. It's already tough enough. So there is something. There is something that during this culture that was harder.
Yeah, but
Walter, I'm not saying it's not. It's going to end one day.
Everybody has their crosses. No, but Walter, everyone has their personal crosses to bear. A Chinese guy has to worry about being called Ching Chong or some other Chinese slur. A black guy has to worry about being called some kind of black slur.
Guys,
a Mexican has to worry about some Mexican slur. If I lived my life,
this is what he's saying is holding back the.
So you're saying that the Chinese went through what the Americans did. The American African went through 50 years ago. The Japanese,
Walter,
let's say, or anybody went through the same thing.
Walter, the Chinese were brought over to build the railroads in America.
That's right.
They went through hell. They went through shit. The Japanese were put in internment camps.
So they were slaves, the Chinese. They were slaves.
They worked as good as slaves. It was indentured servitude.
They were in camps.
The Chinese worked like fucking slaves almost. They were driven like cattle. So to say that the Chinese that went to America didn't suffer is ridiculous.
I think Bruce Lee is the first Chinese guy to get into Hollywood back in the day. So don't even go there.
Yeah, but the fact is,
even the Chinese people were treated as scrap there.
Yes, but black people were in movies before Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but they're not playing victim all the time, are they?
I really don't know what you guys have. I really don't understand what you guys don't understand about. I really don't understand how you guys cannot see that there was a situation that happened in America that's really fresh.
Yeah,
when you look at it, the last 50 to 60 years, that only segregation and stuff has gone through, and it's going to take time.
Shut the fuck up a minute. We know all about it. We had the funeral on fucking our national fucking news channels, for fuck's sake. A funeral of a poor guy that was murdered by some lunatic copper, but just so happened to be a career criminal, just so happened to have done loads of robberies and stuck a gun to a pregnant woman's chest and actually told her, "Where's your stuff? I'll kill your fucking baby." That's the person that my national broadcaster had on the fucking telly playing his funeral. It was a political statement.
What are you saying? So what are you saying? They should have the one where the one that had taser got shot in the back? Is that the one that should have been the one that was?
No, he was a fucking idiot. He resisted. What do you expect when you?
Oh, he resisted. Someone just posted a white man. Someone just posted a white man. Someone just posted a white man resisting two officers. The guy took over the cop's car, took off with it, and he get shot once. So I don't understand what your point is. If you want to bring up stupid videos, I could do it also.
Walter.
Oh, mate, look, it's really simple. It's really simple. No, Banksy, let me.
And what about that black teacher in America that was fought? What about that black American teacher that was shot twice while he was sitting in the front seat of his car while his wife was looking at him while he was trying to go to the glove compartment and get his paper? Don't give it to me.
Guys,
we put him on the funeral.
Welshie, okay. I'm gonna have to.
If you can't be muted, you can. Right. Let me make this one about that one recently in Atlanta that got shot because he was pissed in a Wendy's drive-thru.
So you're always gonna have an excuse, are you?
But the guy was pissed.
I'm just giving you the facts. I'm just giving you the actual background. He was pissed in a drive-thru. Right. Customers rung the police. They turned up. It was a 40-minute field sobriety test. Right. So it took a long time. It was very amicable. He ended up getting nicked because he blew too much. Right, he was pissed. Okay, so when they said to him, when they turned around and fucking said you're under arrest, your hands behind your back, he resisted. He overpowered two coppers. He got on top. He got the better hand of the two coppers. He grabbed
so wait a minute.
Hold on.
Let me finish it off.
They have his license plate number.
He then turned that taser and faced it towards
the violinist
copper. Shot him three times and he ate dead. right?
Violent
In
is
anyone's
black.
fucking world, if you point
Anybody's world, yeah, sure.
a weapon
if
at a police officer,
Yeah.
it's in their training to fucking
In England, they
shoot.
shoot people dead.
Yeah, but
for a
Walter,
taser?
Well,
I
they
don't want to. I
only
don't want
killed
to.
one black man
Guys,
last year.
hold
They
on.
only killed one black
Base.
man in the UK last year, and you know who that was?
So let me
That
ask
was
you a
the
question.
cunt
So let me ask
cutting
you a
people's
question.
heads off on
Yeah,
fucking London Bridge.
Yeah,
He was a
yeah, it's
terrorist.
different. It's
He was a
different,
Let me ask you a
terrorist.
question.
One
different.
person
Hey, let me
killed
shoot
by
you
police
something.
last year.
Base.
He was a
They
fucking
have this
terrorist.
card.
Walter, hold
So
on.
leave your
Base,
shit in
base.
America.
Welshie.
Base
Okay,
Welsman,
thank
listen.
you.
They have his card. They have his license plate. They have everything.
Yeah, so why do you resist? This
Let
is
him
it.
go
He's
home.
back to rights. This is,
No.
this is
Are you
it. This
saying?
is-
Are
this
you
is-
saying? Are you saying? Walter.
back to
Walter.
rights.
And then catch him.
Based. Hold on,
Then
guys.
catch
Guys,
him.
everybody,
Walter,
everybody,
this
wait.
is the problem.
Everybody
You are
wait.
excusing
fuck's
this
sake.
behavior
I wanna
that
make-
gets
I wanna
black
make
people
one
getting
statement.
shot.
Yeah, wait a
This
minute.
is the situation why they are
Guys,
overrepresented
he was drunk.
Okay,
in
hold
getting
on.
My father
shot.
was
Hold on.
drunk.
Walter.
Bansky is
Doesn't
drunk.
matter.
He's gonna get
Fucking
shot
idiot.
for it.
Walter.
He's a fucking
Walter.
idiot.
Guys.
It just
stop.
proves to me. You guys just proved to me. You guys just proved to me.
Base
You don't even
Wolfman
see.
dropped off.
You're racists in
No,
a way.
Walter.
How can you not see this?
Walter, you're saying to me that I should, if I resist being arrested by a police officer,
You're not
that
gonna
the
get
police
shot.
officer is just gonna let me go off home drunk, drive my car home because I'm gonna be belligerent and resist.
He wasn't.
rather than
He was walking away. He
Yes.
was walking away. He wasn't trying
Walking
to.
Yes,
away.
yeah, okay. Walking
My
away
God.
with a taser in his
Walking. He
hand.
wasn't in a vehicle.
But are you
He wasn't in a
okay,
vehicle.
okay, but are you telling me that every black
He's
person,
just a
in order to
jogger.
be
He was
proper,
jogging.
no, hold on, in order to be fair to the
Are you
African
saying,
Americans,
Bansky, that if I'm drunk one day in my car, I get out of my car,
You
I
shouldn't
start
be drunk in
resisting
your
arrest.
car.
No,
I start,
hold on.
wait a minute. I start resisting arrest.
yeah,
I should get shot twice in the back for it.
if you start resisting arrest, then yes,
is this the
in
society I
America
live
you're gonna get fucking shot.
No, you
the
will in
point.
America.
The
You
point
will in
is,
America.
the point is,
Land of the
Walter.
free.
Guys,
No,
how
no,
does
no.
this make sense?
Walter,
How can
Walter,
you
it doesn't
we
make.
can
It's
even
not that
go
it makes
farther.
sense.
The-
If you're
this
gonna
guy,
get drunk and
with the
belligerent
taser,
in America,
if he would taste that one cup, he has the chance to get his gun. Okay, this is another thing. So
Okay,
cops.
Wait a minute, we're talking about the
What?
situation here. The guy got the taser. He was shooting the taser backwards. He was walking, running, jogging, whatever you want to say.
So he was
Shots
trying
in
to
the
be violent towards the officer.
Not even his foot.
Yeah.
Not even a foot. I mean, these cops don't know how to shoot on the legs. They
Walter.
don't know
A
how to shoot
taser's
at the-
a taser's known to kill people. A taser's known to kill people.
Walter.
Are tasers known to kill people?
It's-
I believe they
well,
are.
yeah, they are. You can
It's-
get a heart attack if you actually get tased.
So
jolt of
just to tell you about the BBC described it as a non-lethal weapon, but I know for a fact that BBC and everywhere else in the world call it a less lethal weapon.
Yeah, you
But
can
on
still
this
die potentially.
on this occasion, the BBC described the taser as a non-lethal weapon. Well, fuck me, that's news to me.
If
Well,
the
the thing
taser
is-
is not that much of a big deal, why do the black community get the ump when tasers are used?
Look,
You
guys.
can't have both ways.
Yeah, look. I know it's a sensitive situation, but the thing is, Walter, are you honestly saying that if you're caught drinking and driving, and then the police try to arrest you, but you resist, the police should just let you go home and then come round later?
Or let you beat you up.
In which
take one of your
country
weapons
do you honestly
and
think
let-
this
and
would
let them-
happen?
It's nuts.
It's not. It doesn't matter
I don't even
if it's
think-
America. No country on earth would let you go get away with that shit.
And this is how backward it is. The council down there, I reckon, pressured the chief, right? So the chief sacked the copper, who was the one who had the main dialogue with the guy for all that time, and he was very pleasant, up to when it all went crazy. And my thinking is the chief sacked the one copper, and the chief then give his resignation in immediately, because he knew he had no backing from the county. He had zero backing from the county because the county had a fucking bunch of fucking idiots. Right? It's really simple, and you pointed it out, Walter. At the end of the day, he turned around and he was in his car, his number plate. They confirmed his identity. So why the fuck did he? It's really simple. He acted like a woman getting arrested. Blokes generally, I'm bang to right, hands behind the back. Job done.
Okay, guys,
No,
I'm
no,
going to
no.
temporarily
We got to
remove
do a
myself.
massive Karen. Got to do a massive Karen and play with fucking
Guys,
guns.
I'm going to temporarily remove myself and let Takia on because there's not enough space. Okay, just, that's what's going to happen.
Hello.
Yeah, all I want to say, Walter, if you excuse this behavior, you put black people in danger, okay? They feel entitled then to resist arrest and expect not to get shot. But I would say another thing. I think after all of this, the police are fearing more and more to do their job. I would expect a lot of police officers in the future, in the next year or two, they will quit their fucking jobs. They have enough. And then
Hey, Elteron, I have a question for you. Hey, Elteron, I have a question for you about Jews. If a Jew becomes a Christian,
we're not talking about Jews, are we?
Don't change the topic, please.
Right,
we're not talking about Jews, so we leave Jews alone.
No, I just wanted, because I remember him talking about Jews all the time.
We won't.
So I just want to know when a Jew becomes a Christian, does a white? What is he talking about?
You still haven't answered my question about the environment, the way people are brought up, the way they have to live.
Of course, even when I was brought up, our environment was very rough. There was gangs around, drugs, everything. Okay.
Right.
Obviously,
so do you march the streets and say you're going to burn things down and everything?
There was more crime in those areas. I have friends who used to steal. I had friends who did a lot of things that they shouldn't have been doing because of the culture, the poor culture that we were living in. But at one point, we fought to get out of it. But I could get out of it because I didn't. When I had an out, there was somebody to pull me in.
Yeah, but what did you use to get out of it? Hang on, what did you use to get out of it?
You have like, you have a friend who has a job, gets you a job, things like that.
So there's no friends of black people then. There's no friends of black people who can get them out of it.
Sure, they are, but I'm pretty sure there are. They're not.
Are you sure they just don't like living in their self-righteous victimhood? Yeah.
Listen.
In their self-righteous victimhood.
Why are we always clubbing everybody? It's not everybody. We're not talking about 100% of people here.
Why are you assuming that all black people are stupid and not intelligent?
Yeah. I am not assuming that. Wendy's assuming that. That's not what I'm saying.
No, not.
You are, because you think an independent black person who hasn't got anybody to help them, can't read and write, and look for...
I'm talking about it's easier for a white guy...
and work out how to get out of it. That's what you're saying. You're saying they're vulnerable.
Jupiter, you're dreaming in tech. What I'm saying is that
for themselves. That's what you're saying. You're saying they don't have the intelligence.
Okay, can we
I'm not
just
saying
have
that.
Someone
Jackie Robinson was a very sharp guy.
Okay.
How did he get into baseball if not by the help of somebody?
Okay, Walter, can we just cool him down?
What? Oh,
please, Walter.
A lot of people are sharp. They just need the fucking help.
Walter, can we just have one?
Walter, I think you're being a bit silly.
When
you're being. What I'm saying is
your
there was
mic
a
is a
culture.
bit low.
What I'm saying is that there was a culture.
Walter, calm down.
Only now it's starting to break apart.
Your mic, love.
Okay, so when we are angry or very passionate about things, we don't listen to the opponent's argument. Can we just do one person at a time and not preach? Maybe 20 seconds.
There's no arguments here. I mean, people have a way of thinking, and you can't change them until they change. I mean,
Walter,
I have an opinion.
At least let people land and then give your answer.
Come on.
But you're always saying the same thing. Those low IQ. Oh, why is this?
Banksy,
why is that?
Walter,
if
you want to blame someone, you can
There's nothing to
blame, for
blame.
example, the people that took over your culture, basically. Okay. The people that promoted this degenerate culture of black people, right? Those people you can blame. Focus on them. Focus, inform yourself who changed this whole rap game, this whole twerking and my gun, this bitches and all of this, right? Focus on that. Blame these people and tell black people to stop this degenerate culture. Because when I see someone behaving like an animal, I call them an animal. If I see those LGBTQ guys out there, white guys, right, I call them faggots. I call them what they are. If I see white women twerking and behaving like animals, I call them out, okay? And white people also don't like that, but I will call them out. You have to do the same. We have to stand up against this degenerate culture.
Can you let him finish? A certain percentage of people do that, and now all people do that.
He's speaking. Can you let him finish? And then when he's speaking...
You call that speaking, I call that stupidity.
No, it is right.
Wait, hold on. Call it out afterwards, and if he interrupts you, I'll call him stupid. But please, one at a time. Please, Erwander, speak your mind. 20 seconds. Don't do like a long discussion, please.
Why are the prisons so full of black people in America then?
Hold on, Erwander, can you just finish your argument, and then I think Walter going to go, and then maybe when you...
No, I have finished my argument. My basic argument is concentrate on changing the culture. Black people have a culture of saying all cops are bastards. We also have this with those white left-wing lunatics. They're also saying that. And what you also have is this protecting those criminals, right? They call it snitching. Don't snitch on me, right? Don't report to the police. We have to change that. We have to hold these people accountable.
Oh yeah, you mean what they got from the mafia? I remember.
Yeah, the mafia as well, yes.
So, Wendy, I want to go after you. Do you want to say something, please, Wendy?
I just want to ask Walter why the prisons are so overrepresented with black people in America and probably Canada too.
I don't know about Canada, and I really don't know the numbers in the States, but I can't
in Britain it's very high too.
Because I don't know the numbers. You're just saying that.
But why would that be though? It's a bit odd, isn't it? If these peace-loving people, if they're these peace-loving people.
Maybe if certain cultures would watch over.
No, you can't blame other cultures for people breaking the law. Yeah.
Okay, so I can respond to that. Can I respond to that?
Takia can respond. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know the answer. I just have one response, which is basically if you look at the fatherhood, the presence of fathers in the black community, example in America, it has changed dramatically in just one generation.
Yeah.
Now it's about 70 to 75% are
single
without a parent, father.
Yeah, one parent.
If you compare to like a generation before that, it should be like, 20%, like dramatically. And by the way, no community is spared from this. It's happening to the white community as well. That in one generation they're dropping like 30%. The African Americans is 40%, but Mexicans they're 25%. Whites they're like 30%. It's not.
There's a million abortions a year in America.
So the point is, yes, when the child grew up, they're supposed to become, autonomous. They supposed to become independent, right? We want that to happen, but the firm hand of the father is to make sure that if they slip, the father should put them back in order, right? So the mother, she's doing the best she can, because you need a mother who is more, encouraging, while the father is more about setting the borders. So
Can I say something there as well?
Yeah.
2 points. One point that I've noticed cropping up quite a lot when I've been watching some of these movements, even from in the 1970s. I watched a film today that was banned in 1970. What a lot of the black men talk about is that it's the mothers that they start to learn not to trust the white community, not to mix with the white community, that the white community never do anything good for them. And so it does come from the mothering. It comes from bad advice. That starts off the doubt and the seed in their minds. It also puts into the child that they are inferior. So they start off getting a complex at a very early age. And then they start to see things that are not really there. They start to look at reasons that could be quite simply explained by another child just doesn't like you. to another child not liking them because of the colour of their skin. That's number one. And
but we're talking about why do we have overrepresentation?
Number two, hold on. Number two, I would say that there's this kind of politics that, Walter, you seem to be promoting, where if you make somebody into a victim, it feeds itself, right? What happens is you enslave your mind, you believe you're a victim, and you believe that you're excused for your bad behaviour because you've got an excuse because you're a victim. So you carrying on doing bad behaviour, and you're never taught endurance, you're never taught patience, you're never taught hard work is rewarded, you're never taught that it's worthwhile concentrating on something, you're never taught to focus. You end up being very narrow-minded in one direction, focused on your skin, and that is all it is. That's all it is.
Let's try to do like 30 seconds each. Do anybody want to respond to Jupiter's comment?
30 seconds is not enough to make a point to Kia.
Well, I mean, okay, double it, but like let's not do like 2-3 minutes. Yeah. I mean, you want to go first? I want to go after you.
I don't have anything to add to that, really.
Okay, and Marius want to go before me? Walter, you want to go before?
There's nothing more to say on this subject. I just believe that, like I said from the beginning, that
you think the white people should change their mindset?
When you look at segregation, we're talking more about America here, please. Don't talk to me about England and stuff. We're talking about America. This situation happened in about America. I don't know what happened in England. I know what more happens in America than I do in England. And I know that in America, this
you are being controlled by the Democrats.
And prejudice and discrimination is just now, maybe, finally, starting to.
The thing is, it's unreal.
Start to relieve itself, and this shows it by people getting really upset of what happened to. And let's face the facts: this man was a criminal.
Yeah, but they got upset about the wrong people. They didn't get upset about that Rihanna woman, did they?
Yeah.
They didn't get upset
Walter,
about
you are
allying.
Wait.
Maybe this will finally start opening the doors.
They got upset about a career criminal.
Other people into the rat race. Not always the same.
So, Walter, are you saying that if that guy had been a white guy under that guy's knee, people wouldn't have got upset?
White guys don't have a problem.
Oh, we wouldn't have got upset then.
We get upset, but white guys are not having problems entering workplaces,
don't talk stupid.
Or discriminated, or being racial slurred while they're trying to.
All the time.
So you
2019.
If you're the majority, of the population,
and the FBI statistics, that 4 white people died and 3 black people died. So are the police more racist to white people because more people died? More white people died than black people. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, nobody's hearing what you guys are saying. You see, Elronder, it has to be 30 seconds or else it's going to be chaotic. Base Wilsham, can you do 30 seconds maximum? Please, you go first.
Yeah, I believe it was 2019. The FBI stats comes out and it said that out of 10,000 people arrested that year, 3 black people died in custody and 4 white people died in custody. All right. So are they more racist to white people then because 1 more died? The police are cunts in America. I'm not denying the fact. They're a completely different bag than they are over here. I'm not denying that. But that guy in Atlanta was a fucking imbecile. The reason why he's dead is because of his own actions. That's why he's dead. His own actions. He was banged to rights. Done. Okay, done. I'm done.
So Walter, what is your position about this guy who had the taser, who took it from the police, right? So I was in the middle of the discussion. What is your conclusion? I just want to know, do you think that the police should shoot him in the leg or in the chest or not at all? Walter, can I understand your position? Walter, are you here? Okay, maybe he's awake.
Yeah, I'm here, but you were getting really choppy, so I don't know if I heard you.
Can you hear me better now? So we obviously have a cam from the police and from the outside the police. Basically, you had someone who was stopped and he was drunk and he was driving the car, and then he basically attacked the police. They had a ruffle encounter, and then he stole the police taser, and then he aimed it at the police. and then the police shot him, right? What is your position on that?
Yes.
Can we just so I
Like
understand
I
what
said, I think it's excessive force for a guy who's drunk in a drive-through. That's all I'm saying.
What would you
guys,
suggest
for
instead?
Americans, for American white people, it seems like it's okay to shoot people, no problem.
Okay,
So what do you want me to say?
What's the alternative? What is the better suggestion?
Well, there was plenty of things you could do. You could follow the guy home.
Yeah.
You could bring in 3 other police cars.
Yeah.
There's so many things that police could have done to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
They
So
have
what
to
about
shoot him in the
what about the rest? What the rest of the panel? What's you guys' thoughts?
Okay, so basically, if they'd have let him go, which is originally what Walter said, he said she should just let him go, they wouldn't have got a conviction for drink driving. Okay? That's the first things first. And you can't let criminals go. You can't let criminals go. And the moment he pointed that taser, they should have shot him in the legs. They should have gone for a limb. But I've seen the footage on real time. The copper was near enough.
I can't hear anything.
Let him finish, please. Base Walshman, just finish.
Yeah, so basically, he signed his own death warrant. Okay, it's you then. If everyone could tell him he'll have to go out and come back in.
He'll come back. So, Jupiter, do you have any thoughts? Or Rander, maybe?
Yeah, what I would say is black people need to watch more right-wing channels, especially ethno-nationalist channels, because the examples of white people getting shot are not being promoted by mainstream media. This is why you don't hear about them, right? White people, there are some racist white cops as well as some racist black cops in all of this, but the overall culture you don't have white people going out and knocking out black guys. They have their own game, for example, of this is called the knockout game. Okay, you don't see that with white people doing that to black people.
I've seen white kids do that as well. It wasn't just the black kids. It was white kids. It was all mixed manner of children doing that knockout. I can show you videos of white kids doing the knockout game. No, that's
well, I haven't seen that. I've seen hundreds of videos where it's the other way around.
What I seen the other day was a white guy arrested, and they pinned him on the grass for about 5 minutes, and he died from suffocation. And while he was dead, and they realised he was dead, they were joking about it above his body.
There you go.
All I would say is,
he was white.
One thing, guys, sorry, Eric, just hold on. I want to let Pavlov on and
Banksy, we're struggling to hear you. Can you guys hear Banksy?
Yeah, can you guys not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear Banksy, yeah.
You can't, can you hear me, Takia? I think it's to do with some people's connections or this StreamYard. But guys, I'm gonna let Pavlov on, and I'm gonna drop myself off and give him my place. So just conduct yourselves the way you always have. Actually, Takia's gone. Okay, Pavlov.
Hey, Pavlov.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going?
He was active in the chat, I saw.
Well, I was indeed. I heard some funny stuff going on, and I'm a bit sad that what was his name? Walter left the chat, the conversation, because it would be interesting to speak to him a bit, because I am
he's here.
I'm pretty interested why people have the opinions that he has. Actually, I'm doing my own experimentation behind the scenes. I'm talking to the youth, especially to the youth who have the opinions that he has, so that I can see the origin of this poison, where it all comes from, where does all of this self-loathing come from? So
universities, isn't it?
It's being promoted, yeah, exactly, Wendy.
Pablo,
and I have statistics for that. The alternative hypothesis has made a great video about that. You see that older black people think they were not so much racially oppressed than the younger generation, even though back 60 years ago there was real oppression still going on against black people. So this mentality is getting pushed by mainstream, by all basically all institutions of power and influence. This is being pushed, and you see that with newcomers of Mexicans, for example. they are feeling, even though they don't have those rights, right, that people with a passport in America has, they feel less oppressed than second, third generation Mexicans. You see that all the time, and you even see that with low degree people with not so good education. They feel less oppressed than people with higher degrees and higher earnings in living. They are feeling more oppressed. Okay, so there's a system that is pushing that, and I would call that cultural Marxism. Some people say it is more like being pushed by by the capitalist system itself. But yeah, it's being pushed, and you can show that in statistics.
Okay, I want to challenge that. So white people are pushing for LGBT education for our kids. Why are you guys pushing for LGBT kids, trans education for our kids? There's actually something called boys and girls. White people are pushing for Antifa. Are you guys seeing the patterns, what I'm doing? I'm showing that white people are in one camp, which is not right. So white people, why are you pushing for that Trump is evil? White people, do you see what I'm saying? White people, why are you pushing feminism on the world? We don't want that.
Yeah, of course.
So
I agree.
If you could be fair, if you want to depict a map of reality, you should say that leftist, centrist, right wing in any group. This way you can speak about, you have more leftists pushing for something on a certain group. They could be male, ethnic, wealth driven, or you can do that in any group. This is the accurate way to describe reality. And ratio matters. I mean, how many percentage support this? So one way to measure that is in votes, right? So let's say that 50% of 55% of the women that are white vote for right wing, right? While saying that, well, that's true.
I think 45% of women voted for the Republicans. Yes,
is it 55?
45%.
Is it 45? Okay, it's not a big difference. But this way you can speak, right? Conservative, centrist, right wing. So if you make this distinction and you speak about percentage, now you're being accurate.
Yeah.
And this percentage can always change because you have cultural influence. If you want to.
And black people are dead in by Obama vote 98 or 96% for Democrat. And when Hillary was on, I think it still was 92% or something. So it is.
Can I challenge that? Okay. So in your country, I don't want to be too personal. I just want to make a point.
Yeah.
In your country, they are voting for Merkel, that is pushing for this. So she's going to win the next election, the previous election, and election before that. So how would you explain that? Why people are actually pushing for
Merkel? I don't know if you know that, but after the AfD, the CDU, which is the party of Merkel, is the most right-wing party in Germany. You have no other options, right? And since they are calling the AfD Nazis and all those slur words to demonize, basically saying when you vote for this party, you're a devil self, almost not a human anymore. They are voting more for the CDU, which is so to say, because the CDU is not so demonized, but it should be a conservative party. It has it in their name. It's Christian Democrat Union. They are calling themselves.
Well, God bless them.
My
bigger point is you need to increase these categories to describe reality more. So,
a lot of white people are getting fooled. Merkel is not the only one, right? They have some right-wing spokespersons in the CDU, which are more right-wing than Merkel, right? And then people think, maybe those guys actually have a chance to take over the CDU. This is why I'm still voting for the CDU, because all those other people's telling me they want to do this and this and that. But then they are doing the exact opposite when you vote for them, because they are traitors and they are liars.
But these traitors are natives, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So it's not okay. So I do acknowledge that there's external forces. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be.
But we know about the influence because they have a lot of control in different sources in our society. But it's also Westerners, native Westerners, are destroying their own country because of, you can call it brainwashing if you want. But
I think what is way more powerful than having a party in power is having the hegemony over morality and over the media. The media is if the media decided they want to take you down, they can do it because they have total might over.
But the media is given money by the government, which is voted in.
Okay,
right?
so what's the solution? Anyone got
First
any
of all, we have to
solution?
diagnose this correctly, Jupiter. So first of all, I just want to make sure that he don't give a pass to the lefties that are natives. Elronder, don't give them a pass because they're natives. They're from your country, and they are giving money to the media that is destroying you, right?
Yeah, you make it as if we are not doing that.
No, you're not, because part of change is also taking responsibility that a portion of our people are sellouts, and you don't want to say it's genetics. You want to say it is what brainwashing, right?
It is also genetics. You will see. I forgot the exact the exact mindset, but you would see that people who vote more left wing, they have a lack of a specific
traits, personality
trait. Yeah, they can't see danger. For example, there's a specific toxicant in the brain that
agreeableness and conscientiousness. I know about it. It's Big Five. It's called Big Five.
Yeah, and you will see that with left-wing people. Yeah.
What you have to do is you need to explain the reasons why. So I used to vote left-wing because I was brainwashed through school. That was a default position in Sweden. I'm sure the same thing is in your country, right?
Yes, of course.
But the danger is when you start to say it's because of genetics. So how do you know what is because of genetics?
It's both.
It's because, can I just finish my sentence? How do you know it's because of brainwashing? That distinction is important, because if you're willing to say, no, it's not because of genetics, maybe it's because of brainwashing, school, education system, media and so on. And then you look at the looters and you say that's because they're aggressive based on genetics. Now you're measuring the wrongdoings on your own group based on brainwashing, while you're looking at these looters because of the genetics. That's called a bias.
I have not said that. I've said the bigger issue is I would only say all the riots I would say is maybe 20% genetics, 80% brainwashing. I say it's the culture and the brainwashing which is causing this. You have to understand, to make George Floyd, or that recent example where the guy was shot because even though he had a taser, and the left and the media makes a case and tries to push that to make their case, you see how desperate they are, right? That they don't have any better case to make up. And they have tried that for years. I remember the case of the Covington High School kids, for example. I don't know if you still remember this. They wanted to frame a youth, young children, right, to be those racist school kids, even though we all saw that video and it was the other way around, right? They tried to push that even then. They failed. Then they tried it with Jussie Smollett. Everyone that was hearing about the story, would think, this guy is making this shit up, right? Telling them, this is MAGA country with a red hat in a almost black city, right? But they tried it, and they have not succeeded with all those. And there was like 2 or 3 other examples, right? So they are trying to push that, and they are so desperate to have those examples. It must show you how ridiculous it is to make this as a white supremacist country or structural racism or something.
Yeah, okay,
it's the opposite.
Let me respond to that. Okay, do anybody want to say something before, so just so we have some balance?
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Yeah, please do.
I'm afraid that this is a question that Elrond won't be able to answer because it's not a question that can be answered with racial arguments. For the people in power, the people underneath are pawns. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just how it is. When you're playing a game and you have better troops and you have worse troops, you put the worst troops to absorb the worst of the damage, and you put the better troops to make the final blow. And thus you choose quality over quantity. The same works in society. The leaders will choose those who they have interest in over those they have no interest in. So human lives do not have an inherent equal value for them in the grand scheme of things, in terms of the game of societies and the game of different countries. Now, what we're talking about here is a case of subversion, of very bad subversion.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily a case of subversion between countries, even though I'm certain that to a certain extent it is between countries, especially like China, for example. China has a very big interest in subverting European countries because China is forming their own axis of countries that have totalitarian governments with a capitalistic economy. They're forming their own faction, and they're becoming stronger with time because of the flaws of democracy, because they hit where it hurts. China will not be hit by this kind of subversion. China will not be thrown down by LGBT rights or Black Lives Matter or whatnot, because all China has to do is to forbid it, because they have a totalitarian government. Now, the reason why this happens in the West is because it's effective in the West, is because the West is free, and because in the West you can do this kind of stuff. So all of these people who speak about oppression and racism and blah, 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 are saying this because they can say it. Not because it exists, but because they can say it. If there actually was this kind of amount of oppression, they would never, ever be able to speak even a little bit about it.
So, Pablo, can you just formulate it as a question?
Sure.
It up as a question for Elronder?
Okay. Let me just sum it up very quickly. It's not about race, because if, you can turn the most virtuous people in the world into pigs if you have the means of communication in your hand. That's what I usually say in these cases. So it's a struggle for power. And how do we fix this? Well, we need to promote discussion, conversation, and argumentation once again, because that kind of speech is the only way to fix this in a democratic system. The other way is to become a totalitarian system and to force this rot to disappear, which is, I'm certain, something that Elrond would like, but that's not the way I would like things to go.
Yeah, but can you formulate it as a question so we can respond to it? Elrond?
All right, question. Right. Well, it's difficult to formulate a very specific question in this case, but let me ask this then. Let me ask this to you guys. If there are certain races that are superior and certain races that are inferior, truly, if we imagine that for a second, then how is it possible that cheap tricks, very blows of stupidity are being so effective in the West? Because what's going on is pure and utter stupidity. And if they were truly superior by nature, then all of the nurture in the world would not be able to break them.
Yeah, I would agree with 90% that you just said there, Pavlov. I think it is way more nuanced than you made it.
The superiority bit.
No, I would say not superior or something, just different, right? White people, in my opinion, you can only tell white people what you tell them right now that they are still racist, even though they are, based on all the stats I've seen, the most individualistic and don't care about race as any other group. So yeah, and to make a people believe and lie to themselves so much, Jared Taylor once said, has to be a very smart people. I think they use our altruistic behavior against us, and that and also Europeans have a mentality of with universal ideas. So they right now we are thinking that liberalist democracy must be implemented all over the world, because this idea is the perfect idea and it should be all around the world. Before that it was Christianity, right? Before that you can say it was communism or capitalism or something like this. So we always think universalistic, right?
But can I just challenge that, please, Rondor?
Yeah,
who
please.
are they that are
You can
using
challenge.
your love for humanity against you? Who are they?
Okay,
Well,
guys, I've got Takir Watch's video ready. I don't know if you guys
all
want
right,
to listen to this.
let's watch.
Yeah, it's a good video. It's a
You
good
want to
video.
watch it? Okay.
The Chinese Communist Party has a saying when it comes to their warfare, psychological warfare operations, and other forms of subversion: strangle you with your own systems. In other words, observing how different countries operate, what is controversial within their systems, how does their system function, how can we use those systems to twist things around, to cause chaos, to mess things up, to use it against them. You say you believe in free speech? We'll have protests in your own backyard calling you out. You say you believe in free press? Well, we'll start up state-run media in your country, and we'll use those state-run media to lie to your population, to spread our propaganda. That's what they do. You believe in free markets? How about we bring state-run companies that can sell below cost and put your companies out of business and take over your industries? That's what they're doing, right? Strangle you with your own systems. And what is controversial in the United States? What is most controversial? Racism. This race narrative. They know they can use it. They've been doing it for a very long time. There are different groups, for example, Committee of 100 in the U.S., who every time a Chinese spy is arrested, they call it racism, because they know that's what we're sensitive to. The Chinese military has a doctrine on this, the three warfares doctrine: psychological warfare, media warfare, and legal warfare. This is publicly adopted into their military doctrine. This is part of their military system. Now, what are these? Psychological warfare is not necessarily lying to you. Psychological warfare is altering how you interpret information. And so when you see a virus coming out of China and people say this virus came out of China, if you call it the Chinese virus, they want to use this and twist it around and say it is racist if you talk about the origin of this virus. What is media warfare? Media warfare is the manipulation or control of outlets of information, not just news outlets, but say social media, online platforms, the ability to speak openly. Anything that would allow people to communicate would be a target of media warfare. And what is legal warfare? Legal warfare is a manipulation of international legal systems. The Chinese Communist Party, for them, this is adopted into their military code. This is war fighting to them.
Beautiful.
The Chinese...
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't think the Chinese...
I can't help but admire the cunning of the Chinese in coming up with this, because the Soviets, the only reason why they were not as proficient with this as the Chinese is that the Soviets were completely immersed in their shitty ideology. And the Chinese are not. The Chinese are very worthy opponents because they can sacrifice parts of their ideology to achieve victory.
No. The Soviets are very busy. And it's not just Soviet. If you want to be more accurate, you guys want to know what it is? Rwanda, should I tell it?
Please.
Okay. It happened in previous Soviet called Russia. Well, those who were in Soviet government were about 90% Jews. Do you guys want to know about this?
Yeah,
I heard Putin saying that it was 75.
No, 85 to 90% according to Putin. And they tried to spread this communist movement to different nations. Germany was another one. Sweden, many nations. Hitler knew about it. He kicked them out. They went to America. They never stopped, by the way. And they started to infiltrate all the institutions to spread communism. They've been doing this for about 70 years. So it's not about Russia. It's more about a people that are committed to spreading this because they want to. I don't want to speak about motivation because I cannot read minds. But even, do you know, Churchill wrote about this? If I post a link of an article, it said basically, Banksy, would you show this?
Sure. Guys, I want to actually end the show, so I'm trying to wrap this up.
Okay, I'll skip it.
But
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, we can always pick it up on
Just go to Google and write Churchill, Zionism versus Bolshevism. You'll find the article.
Yeah.
Churchill wrote this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. It's 8 o'clock. I'm ready to wrap up this bad boy because Roger's going to start his stream, and I'll be honest, I'm tired anyway. And he's gonna do his thing, so I'm gonna lose like a large chunk of the audience to him anyway. So I might as well just wrap it up. It's a good time to call it a day. So thank you everyone for coming. You guys can carry on talking on this in this StreamYard if you want.
What channel is it on? What channel is it on, Banks? Is it on? Because I couldn't find Raj's on his normal channel. Has he got a separate channel now?
No, I mean I just saw it on just a normal Raj Speaker's Corner. Raj Speaker's Corner. That's it.
Okay.
That's right. Well, at least he's supposed to have started at 8, but it looks like he hasn't started yet, so I don't know what he's actually doing. But he seems to have had to go to his Gurdwara and this and that. I don't know, man. You know him and his crazy dramas. But either way, thanks guys for coming down. Thank you, Takia. Thank you, Base. Thank you, Pavlov, Arendor, Wendy and Jupiter and Walter, which was a fascinating conversation with Walter. But thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. You guys have been awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Wrap this bad boy up.
Nice one, Walter, in the chat.
Yeah, Walter was fascinating.
He's in the chat now. He's in the chat. No.
Well, I'm going to jump out.
You
guys have yourselves a wonderful evening, and you can carry on conversing if you want, or just leave. Take care.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye-bye. Okay, boys and girls, here we are. We are ending the show. I don't know. What have we learned from this show? I don't know. What can I take? There's so many things back and forth. The Chinese thing was very interesting at the end there. To be honest with you, I wish. I think that deserves a show entirely to itself. Just I've got to talk to Kill Watch and see if we can maybe do a show all about that and see how that unfolds. But for now, I just want to say. I don't know. I guess you're gonna have to keep an eye out. I still think that Walter, you're misguided in regards to black people's sort of traumas in the United States. I think if an Iranian in a pair of slippers can go to America and live in Orange County by the end of after 10-20 years of working, then a black young man born in America should have 3 times those advantages. I don't know. I just see it's funny that I mean, today I did a video about a guy called Dara. Dara. Was it? Shoot, what was his name? Oh my God! It's the founder of Uber. The guy who founded Uber. Dara Khosrow Shahi. That's it. Dara Khosrow Shahi. I actually did one because Bering did a video of Dara Khosrow Shahi and he couldn't pronounce the name and he was just ridiculous. It was so funny. But yeah, I mean, that man is an Iranian-born individual and he is the CEO of Uber right now. And I'm sure he's done a whole bunch of other businesses as well. Previously CEO of Expedia Group. So, the man is highly successful. Now, don't get me wrong. There are thousands of Iranians that are complete losers. in that same place as that one guy who's successful. You know, we always call the hits, we don't call the misses. And the miss, there are plenty of Iranians who are doing nothing with their lives. But they're not bitching about how the systemic racism of the country has kept them down. This is what I don't get, is if you're a loser, accept your position as a loser in the world. The world isn't against you. You are unable to be fucking successful. So that's the point. It's like the losers are complaining that they are losers because the world is against them. Maybe it's not the world that's against you. Maybe you're just a lazy fucking loser. Maybe you are the one who chose to go and become a gang member and shoot people up or sell drugs or all these other things. Perhaps some of that weight rests upon your shoulders. I guess, you know, that's my biggest gripe, is you see penniless people crawling across Europe, trying to get into Europe. There are thousands of people swimming across the Mediterranean Sea in dinghy boats, trying to get to Europe, trying to get to cross the English Channel to get into these racist countries like Britain and Germany and America. How is it, if these countries are so racist and awful, so many people are desperate to get in them? Maybe some Black Lives Matter members should go and live in Zimbabwe for a while, or the Congo, or Botswana, or any of these African nations. Maybe you should spend a few years in those nations and then reevaluate where you are. I don't know, but let's put it this way. If you don't like living in the West because it's such a racist hellhole, I will swap you for 10 Nigerians and Ghanaians who desperately want to work and live in the West. I bet you your place will be filled with 10 others for each one of African Americans who leave the United States. 10 other people will be praying to get in. So sometimes look around you and see what you actually have and be less ungrateful. But then again, this is the generation of the ungratefuls because they're fat and they're comfortable. That's what it is. You know, again, the saying goes, hard times make strong men. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. I wonder what the generation of these Black Lives Matter will have to look back on. They go ahead and desecrate the statues of Churchill, but that Churchill led great men to do great things, to make good times. I wonder if you look back at your life and your history, you can honestly say you came from a great generation. Can you honestly say any of us came from a great generation? I can't. I don't think we had. My generation didn't have its Vietnam. We didn't have any great accomplishments. We just played video games and bought DVDs and made porn. I don't know. Either way, do the best you can with what you got. Everybody has a cross to bear. Don't think that your journey is any harder or easier than the next guy. Believe me. Usually the next guy is even harder than yours. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times you would never want to walk 100 feet in the next guy's shoes because it's so god-awful. And yours is all Nike and pampered up and cushy whilst he's wearing fucking leather soles that have got holes in it. So, yeah. Pretend that you're at least walking in another man's shoes for 100 feet before you start bitching and complaining about how hard your life is. Fuck this. I'm monologuing way too long and I'm going on a bit too much now. Take care, guys. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Love each other. Look after each other. And try to get over this corona thing. And most importantly, tickle your ass with a feather. Ciao. Oh, shit. I didn't line up a video. I forgot to line up a goddamn video for this. Oh, that ending is not going to look good. It's not gonna look good, baby. It's no vids. I need music. I need music, fuckers. Music. Bollocks to it. I'll just play this one.